If I did it right, we're live.
Good morning,
Good morning, chat. Tell us if I did it right.
Vicky and beautiful in chat. What's up?
Hey, good morning, ladies. Okay, Nova's telling me right now that first of all, Nick. Well, who cares about Nick? He's trying to tell me that Viva Fry is high up on Rumble to the point where he decides who gets paid.
I think that's true.
How'd you learn that?
It's the internet. YouTube gives you stuff. Well, Nick's contract's coming up to renew with Rumble because he's
Mm-hmm.
such a fan of Rumble and he wants to get people off of YouTube and go to Rumble, although he bitches every show about how he hates switching from YouTube to Rumble and he doesn't like it and it's clunky. I don't understand the clunky part. You just turn YouTube off and keep doing what you're doing, so I don't understand the clunkiness.
It's been a little like they've had all those attacks lately, so maybe that's it. You think it's getting clunky because of that? Like you have to reset the whole shit.
I think Nick's trying to do what
Uh,
they call negging with Rumble. Do you know
Say
negging?
more. I
Negging's
know.
like a no, no, not that N word. Negging is
I was
what
gonna say nag.
negging's what like pickup artists do to women. So instead of going, "Oh, you're so beautiful, you're so hot," like, "Well, you're not that great looking. You know, you should probably lose
Pick
some
up.
weight. Should do a little better." So you beat their self esteem down till they just accept you. It's like
Oh,
it's yeah, it's bad. It's called negging. I think that's what
that's
Nick's trying to do with Rumble, trying to be like, Rumble sucks. They're not very good. I can make more money with Twitch. I'm just, my contract come. We'll see what Rumble comes up with, but they're not that good. I don't like it's
Rumble. He
clunky.
thinks Rumble's in the corner, just like we do suck. We're not good. Like
Right.
who? I don't get it. Is he saying that just in case they don't pick him up? He'll be like, I didn't want them. I broke up with them. They didn't fire me. I quit.
I think that's probably a good portion of it that he's trying
He's
to.
getting picked back up. He's got a giant audience,
No,
don't you
no, he
think?
doesn't. No, it's dwindling. Leafy brings in more live viewers. Josh brings in what's Nick got? Half a million, almost half a million subs.
On Rumble?
No, no, just like total, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, I think.
Josh has, I think, like 4,000 subs on Rumble, but he brings in 3,000 live viewers. So he's got like a 90% live viewer turnout for all of his live streams.
Damn, that's right.
That's huge. 90% turnout?
Yeah,
That's
but
huge.
still, like, doesn't Nick get 20,000 people watching?
No,
That's
not
huge.
anymore. It depends on. No, no, he lost all those bridges.
Really? Is there
Yeah.
anything happening in like the world that needs a lawyer? Yeah. I didn't. Okay,
No,
first of all,
he's not a law channel. Will you stop? It's never been a law channel. It's never going to be a law channel.
my bad. I didn't mean to besmirch him right
He's
the
not
first
right
thing this
wing. He
morning.
hates all the right wing people, all the gun lovers.
Right wingies.
Oh, oh, last night was it last night? No, the other day he was talking about coming back to Jesus. He loves going to church. He loves the community of church.
Wait, good. I love
No,
that. That's the only
no.
way he's getting out of this mess.
I think he's more grifting to try to keep the right wing people on his side because he's devolving into a left hard. What's right wing about him? Like really though, what's right wing about Nick? He's
Okay.
pro degeneracy. He's pro sharing your wife. He's pro like
No, okay. He's not pro sharing his wife out of his own mouth. He says he's not pro that. So we
he
can't
says
give him credit for that.
well, he says a lot of things. He says he didn't put a bottle in his ass. He says
He
he's
did
not an
too. Why would you
alcoholic.
say that? Did he really say he didn't do that? Why do
I'm
I
sure
have this on my desktop?
he
Oh my
said that
God.
he
It's like,
didn't drink on his when he dressed up like an e-thought girl stream. He said he didn't drink on that stream, and Alyssa popped that fucking clip right up quick.
he said he didn't do this?
He said he didn't do that. No, no.
I
He
should have
also
made
said he
that
didn't
video.
drink during the when he dressed up as an
I can't
e-girl.
believe that's on my desktop. You're not the only one I made look at that.
Like, how drunk do you need to get?
Did your shit just reset? I was
No,
like, uh-oh, Rumble don't like asses no more.
but
Maybe
I
just
don't
that
think
that weird.
if Nick's like because they were paying Nick money, Rumble was paying Nick money to draw people off of YouTube and get them to stay on Rumble. But if
Mm-hmm.
Nick's bitching and crying that I don't like taking people away from YouTube and I don't like switching over to Rumble, then why would Rumble want anything to do with him?
Is he saying that after a year he just doesn't like the setup or what?
He said that it's too clunky and too much work to switch from YouTube to Rumble. Is his excuse.
What?
And then he can make more money
That's
on
stupid.
and he can make more money on
He's
Twitch
using StreamYard.
than he can with Rumble.
Can I share this tab? Oh, I can't. I should show you how easy it is. It's all click. You're fucking done with YouTube and you're just on Rumble.
Right. That's why I don't understand like this. Well, remember, it's hard being a streamer. You guys don't understand how hard it
Okay,
is to be a streamer.
to be fair, Rumble does not integrate itself into fucking anything. The comments don't come up. That's a stupid pain in the ass. On this side of things, for a streamer, there are some things Rumble could improve on, but they are actively, and he knows this over the last year, they have their leaps and bounds where they were from where when he
Rumble's an
started to
infant.
where they are now. Hmm?
Rumble's an infant. Like
No, it's 10 years old. It's just only been funded for the last several years.
yeah.
And so we give them a pass for that.
Yeah, I mean
I guess.
the company's 10 years old, but I think like Rumble as a viable streaming platform didn't get serious until like 2 years ago. Because remember, Crowder signed on and he like crashed their whole fucking website because he had too many people live sign in.
Morning, Vicky. No, I didn't remember that. Is that really what happened?
Yeah, Rumble crashed or Crowder crashed Rumble hugely.
And then
Like,
Rumble wouldn't do censorship, so then they tried to take him down in that way.
right.
And we're going to talk about censorship today, so that's perfect.
Yeah, I think we're in the dystopian future of nothing but censorship. Actually, I think it's crazier than that. I think we've always been censored. We just now know that we're censored.
Well,
Like before the internet,
yeah.
it was illegal for the government to open your mail, but they can go through your emails, they can go through your videos, they can go through anything
Before
they
the
want.
internet, they couldn't go through our emails. Isn't that, did you just say before the internet and then email?
No, like before the internet, they couldn't go through your mail, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now that there's internet, they can open anything they want as long as it's online.
But
They have free access
the
to anything
federal
you can.
mail system is federal. The internet's not a federal system. So
Oh
that's
no!
why.
Oh, that's the new thing. America wants to take hold of the internet and control everything about it and Americanize it for freedom, which
Who
means
said?
erase everything they don't like.
Who said?
Congress the other day, I think it was during the
Dude,
weaponization of censorship or something. The federal government's weaponization of
they said we were
everything
going
the
to take it
federal
back.
government
Okay,
does is
because
dirt.
Obama gave the rest, the tiny last vestiges of owning of the internet away in like 2012. Fucking God, bye. So, and I think they did that on purpose because now we can't say that there's any sort of rights attached to it. Our inherent rights don't have anything to do with it because none of it's housed in America anymore. We have no control over it.
I don't understand why like the rights that we actually that's I'm black pilled now. I don't think we have any rights. I think that's just a fucking piece of paper they hide in front of us to keep us fucking docile and calm. Like, no, look, you have rights as long as you can afford a high paid lawyer and as long as you can, not fuck with the deep state. Don't talk bad about the Clintons. You have all the rights in the world. It's
Right?
like you tell your
Exactly.
kids,
Because if you don't have
you
a
tell your
First
kids
Amendment
that they
right,
have
then fuck up.
rights.
Who cares about the rest of them?
Kids don't have
I would
rights.
agree. So wait, what black pill do? Did that just happen this weekend?
Kind of. Well, no, I've always thought that way. I'm just like it's finally like coming through my system now. I'm finally. It doesn't matter who you vote for. It doesn't matter which party. We're just cattle in the fucking. Doesn't matter who the farmer is. We're just the cows waiting to be slaughtered.
Right. If you buy into the system.
If you buy into the black pill, yes.
Yeah. But no, that's the thing. The government doesn't give us our rights. We have our rights. You're just
No, no,
waking
no,
up
no,
for the
no,
fact
no,
that they won't
no, no, no,
protect
no.
them.
The prison guard
Yes.
gives you what little rights you have, and the government is your prison
No,
guard.
our rights are
You have no
inherent.
rights.
Our government is supposed to protect them. And if they don't, it is our duty to fucking overthrow them.
No, no, that's insurrection. That's J6. That's how they got you
That's First
already.
Amendment.
You thought you had
I know
rights.
that's the fucked up shit. That's the most fucked up shit is that you can't read the fucking Declaration of Independence or any of that and without being a damn insurrectionist.
Because it's a paper shield. Same like I guess my black pill came when the freedom convoy was through Canada, and then they peacefully protested. So there was no violence. There was nothing. We did it the most Canadian way possible. Like we're gonna do it so good that Trudeau can't attack us. Well, he still attacked us. He shut down people's bank accounts. He took away people's insurance. Like there's no rights in Canada.
Well, your rights don't come from your government. That's when people stand up and they go, "Wait, what the fuck? We still have our rights. We just need people in power that are willing to understand that they don't give us them. They protect them. They're not granted from the government. Your rights aren't given to you by your fucking constitution or your charter or whatever the fuck you call it. They're
Mm,
inherent."
no, no, not even. That's the story they tell us, but it's like your kids. You give a kid
The
a toy.
story they're telling
You,
you is that they're allowing you to have those rights.
yeah,
You
they're
guys don't have
giving
enough guns,
you
I
the
think.
illusion of rights.
You know
'Cause
what? This is why I was so pissed off all weekend. It's because you're kind of fucking right. You're kind of right because we don't even deserve these fucking rights if we won't stand up for them. So
right.
basically, if we're just willing to let them take them here, the first one, the second one have all our fucking rights, then who cares? We're no. What's the point? They
Exactly
are an illusion. They're a safety blanket so that the government can come put their. I don't know what they're gonna put. They're not putting nothing in my mouth.
100% correct. 100%
But
correct. It's just the
it pisses. I was so
illusion.
mad this weekend. I couldn't even articulate this morning. My friend's like, "Hey, good morning. What's up?" I'm like, "I'm mad at the government." They're like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, Nothing flashed in my head." I'm like, "I don't know. I'm going to talk about it in an hour." Because I'm like, everything and nothing at the same time, because it's the same shit that we've already fucking known. The same agencies, the same government, the same players are doing the same shit that they've always done. And it's like, at this point, do we really not care? How much more exposure could we get?
Right.
If you're not going to care, then
There's the
I
big
don't know.
conspiracy that professional sports was invented and they get paid all this money and people all the attention goes to professional sports because those are your fighting age men who have nothing else to do would fight the government. But if we can distract them with cheerleaders and sports and Roman games, just distract the public with fights and all this stuff, and then they won't worry about the government.
Mhm.
Same as
Which is
Canada, give
why
them
feminism
drugs.
was so lauded, because if both parents are working, then they don't even have time to fucking pay attention to this shit. Does it affect
Bingo.
me? Nope. Let's move on.
Bingo. So
No,
what
it
it did,
doesn't
so when
affect
women, yeah,
it's
so women could
crazy.
start working jobs, what happened? The workers, the workforce doubled, which means they could cut everybody's wages in half because now you have twice as many people that can work.
I don't know. I don't know the logistics of it all, but I know that people legitimately believe that they're too busy. They're definitely, if they believe that they're too busy to be in their local governments, they definitely think they're too busy for state and federal. Federal is like a
100%.
fucking it's just a nothing burger to them. It's where they hopefully get their money every April because,
Like America, you
that's
guys
their
went to war
taxes.
to stop paying taxes. And now here you are paying quadruple the amount of tax to your own government,
To
who is the
stop paying
government.
taxes without representation. And
Do you
yes,
have
exactly
representation?
kind of what we have now is like our representation is absolute trash.
The state of California represents your views on a
Yeah,
federal level.
right? It's
That's what
embarrassing.
I mean. It doesn't matter. Even if you
This
voted
is
in
when it
a
gets embarrassing to
Republican,
live here.
it doesn't matter.
Like I live in a red county, but still overall, yeah, my state is an embarrassment to me.
Oh, did you see Gavin Newsom versus Ron DeSantis?
Gavin, I heard about
It
this.
was
No,
the,
I
the
didn't see it though.
debate, the big debate, Gavin
Mm-mm.
versus Ron.
Somebody's
Ron, I'm not a big fan of Ron anymore because I think he's just a puppet, but he burned Gavin bad. So he was talking about the flight from Cali. He goes, I know a gentleman. This gentleman, he left California. He came to my state of Florida. He says it's great. It's way freer than California. We pay less taxes. It's safer. Like he started listing all these things. He goes, do you know who that man is, Gavin? That's your stepfather or your father-in-law. And Gavin's just like, well, fuck yeah, he did leave California and went to Florida. Like I can't argue with him. He's right. Like your own stepfather fled your own state because it's such a shithole now, and you think that, like the general public wants to keep voting for you? Like he's going to be the nominee for the Democrats. I'm calling it now.
How did he answer?
He just put a stupid smile on his face. He's like, yeah, that is my dad. That was like that's all he had. Like, oh, and then DeSantis brought up a map of San Francisco. It's like this is a map with a bunch of plots on it. All these plots are where people have shit on the streets. Do you see streets? And the whole thing was just poop. It's just brown. Like Gavin's just like,
Do you
that's my
see
streets.
streets?
Like he had no
Uh,
comeback. He had nothing.
Ay. Well, that's embarrassing. Well, and so the point was because they're gonna run Newsom for president?
Yes, he's going to be the Democratic nominee.
I think that's
It's
a good choice
it's
if they
Nancy
want to win.
Pelosi's nephew or cousin or something, isn't he?
Nephew, I think.
Nephew, yeah. So you got to keep
He's not a
corruption in the
good
family.
choice. but he's a better choice than Biden if they have to, because people I don't think people are going to vote for Biden.
I don't think Biden's gonna be alive. I think that's the whole game. I think shortly before the election, Biden's gonna
They
die
never
from
die,
COVID.
dude. They never die.
He's gonna die from COVID just before the election, then
He
it's
has
gonna
a
be a
clone.
time of mourning, and then no one's gonna allowed to
Uh-uh.
say anything bad about Biden, and we're
Uh-uh.
gonna this is a
If
new
he does
page,
it,
a new chapter. Forget about all the corruption we
I think
did
it.
last year and the last 4
No,
years. Just
no.
Gavin Newsom, look how great he did for
If he
California.
doesn't die, but didn't they? Oh, hold on. Are they allowed to do that? Are they allowed to pick somebody who's not the president, the incumbent?
Um, I think so because it's the
That's
Democratic.
fucking embarrassing.
'Cause the Democratic Party has to nominate their champion to fight the Republican champion.
So you think they would nominate some not their sitting president?
I think they have to now. Well, look at
I
all the
think you're
people who are
right, but it's just weird to think that they
oh,
could
who's
do
that
it.
crazy? Michael Rappaport. Do you know that guy?
Yeah, I saw that guy. I don't like that
Complete
guy.
wingnut, hates Trump with every he's like, I gotta vote for Trump. He's now voting for Trump over Biden because Biden's that fucked up.
Really?
It's
He's voting for Trump. I'm out again. Damn it. I was about to wear my red hat and shit, and now stupid fucking Rappaport's on our team. I hate that motherfucker. I hate him. He's the most cringy motherfucker on the whole ass internet. Now I'm a ginger just like him.
I have another theory. It could be when Biden dies from COVID in October. When's the election?
It's
November?
November. Oh, next October. Okay.
Right? So it's November's election. He's gonna die in
Okay. Hmm.
October. That means Kamala is going to be announced as the first black female president in history, and they're going to run on that.
No, no, no. They don't do that anymore. They know she's not. She's just dark skinned, but she's not. Does that
But she's
count?
going to be the shield. She's going to be the human shield, so you can't say anything bad about her because she's a
Yeah,
woman
better
of
stop.
color who's really an Indian and she's not black. But
Yeah, better stop.
do you know about that? That she's not even black?
Yeah, but that's what I was trying to say. Like, person of color, she is,
She
right?
is,
She's
yes.
not a person of no color like us.
I'm color. I'm peach.
Invisible. We're the vain breed. But no, so but I don't think black is the right answer. But then again, Cardi B says she's black and she's from the Caribbean, right? I don't know. That's probably black. I'm gonna get myself in trouble here. I don't know all of the things.
Where's the line? Where's the line? But there's like a color palette. You have to have one of those little like
That's
darker
what I think.
shades.
I think you're either white or you have color. And so then if you have color, you're a person of color. So then you check that box, moving on.
But
They
Asian
what they
people are
fucked up
considered
is they
white.
said that she was did they call her African? They might have called her African American,
No,
but
she
maybe not.
says she's black. She told everybody she's a black African lawyer, blah blah blah, but she's not. She's Indian. Just like Rachel Dolezal. They went and interviewed her parents, like, oh, you're not
I
black.
mean, her stepdad black. That counts.
No, no, he's just a dark. There's dark Indians and there's light skinned Indians. And it's funny that the Indians are super racist. So the darker the skin of the Indian, the more racist, the more they don't like them. Oh, and she's gone.
I'm
It's
sorry.
true.
Hold on a second.
It's true. Because my ex girlfriend, she was Filipino, and they they look down upon people with dark skin in the Philippines, and they pay big money to lighten their skin to look whiter. And
Sorry.
they all their celebrities, all the famous Filipinos are like half white, half Filipino because it's lighter skin. They're like super racist.
Well, I was thinking about getting those melatonin, not melatonin, that's the sleep thing. What's the other thing? Melanin
Melanin.
injections because that'll make you darker without you having to do a lot of work.
What did Rachel Dole? Didn't she just like suntan or spray tan?
Did she?
Have
She
you
had
seen the
to have.
pictures of her when she was blonde haired versus?
I don't understand why they were so mad about that. First of all, if it's like harder to be black and
No,
she's
what?
trying to be black, that's like making her life harder. So that's not good for her. If she's doing good things for the African American community, that's another good thing. If like she's willing to do that with her hair, like bonus. All of I don't understand the problem. It's just like
Because
stolen
she
valor, but
stole no,
no.
because she used her status as a black woman to steal a job from an actual black woman. Same as
Oh.
Elizabeth Warren told everybody she was Native American to get into Harvard or whatever school she got into. Meanwhile, if she never said that, she wouldn't have made the bar, and someone that was an actual Native American would have took her place.
And no one cares? Damn it, Rachel.
I just don't understand why you would want to swap your race.
That's what I mean. Like, hold on a second though. I don't care. Swap your race all you want. Who gives a shit? like if your mom fucked a black dude, she could have said it. Like you'd be like, I don't know who my mom was fucking. I could be black. She probably fucked a lot of all of the things. She's like a dog in heat. I got 7 dads. Fuck out of here, government. But she could sew on a dick, and we'd have to call her dude. Like
How come
fuck the world and its
how come
retardedness.
mixed people don't call themselves white? They always call themselves black.
That's not true. I think they just decide whichever one they. I don't think they call themselves right.
Like who was it? Michaela Andrews? There was a no, not Michaela Andrews. There was a famous ESPN sports writer who was half, and ESPN wouldn't let her tell the audience that she was half. She could only say she was black. And they ended up firing her over the whole thing. She's
Wait,
like,
she wasn't allowed to say about the rest, and she got fired for it.
yeah, fuck, what was Sage Steele was her
What?
name. Sage Steele, ESPN.
Sage Steele, probably with 2 E's.
She went on with
ESPN.
Megan Kelly. That's the blonde one, right?
After settling lawsuit, yeah.
Yeah, she went on there and she's like, ESPN wouldn't let me tell people that I was mixed. I was only allowed to say I was black.
I'm confused how that even comes up in conversations. And anyways, that's
Because you can only push the black narrative. It's only black power, black everything on sports now. That's why ESPN's
you
on the verge of
you can
bankruptcy.
you can't do that. Well, where's the lawsuit and the personal shit? Alleging the network had retaliated against her in the months following the suspension, steals opportunity away from her, alleging she had free speech were curtailed. Tell me about it.
Yeah, her interview with Megan Kelly was great.
Oh, I'm not even sharing this with you. I'm just sharing
She's
it with
like, I
myself.
want
I'm
to talk
sorry.
sports. I don't want to talk about race. I don't want to tell everybody I'm a black woman. I just want to say I'm a mixed woman and all these like.
Well, I'm sorry, but if she's mixed, that also includes black, so then she can keep doing all of the stuff. What's the problem?
because your ESG score, you can't. It has to be black.
Oh, I didn't remember. I forgot
Remember,
about that.
ESPN was so
Well,
full
how
Black
long
Lives
ago was
Matter.
this?
The NBA had Black Lives Matter all over the courts everywhere. They even took the names off the NBA players and was like, say her name and all these like crazy stuff. The Breonna Taylor incident, like they didn't even have the names of the players on their jerseys. They went so Black Lives Matter. And she's like, this has nothing to do with sports.
Wait, what the fuck? Barack Obama has a white mom. He's only half too.
Yeah,
I just learned that right this moment. I never
because
seen
like I
this
said, in
one.
the Philippines, all the famous Filipinos are all mixes. Like the TV stars, they're all mixed with white. They Filipinos will have sex with almost any white dude to try and get pregnant so they can have one of those blue-eyed babies that they're like treasured in the in Asian culture, in the Filipino culture anyway.
Well, that's interesting. I can't believe you remember this chick's name. I don't remember anything. Sage Steele.
Yeah,
Was she born that? Sage Marie
I think
Steele?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's interested, watch her interview with Megan Kelly. It was great. She did the rounds on YouTube's and all a bunch of YouTube channels after all this, but yeah, she lost her job because she wouldn't be black enough.
Sounds like she lost a job because she was spouting off at the mouth of a shit that her company, like you said, ESG. But I don't know about
ESG
be
scores,
black.
yeah.
Could have been be
She
black
wouldn't
enough.
bend the knee was the problem.
Div, I just sent you a video about a crazy white woman who got a melanoma injection. Hmm. I wonder if that's a typo. What's an ESG score inappropriately said? ESG is your
Equality,
environment, social, and government
governance, yes.
checklist. Governance,
It's a
I think, is
Chinese
the G.
Cold War fucking thing to fuck up
So
Western
in China, they
civilization.
have social credit, and in America now, they have ESG scores, which is business credit. So if your company does enough for your environmental score, meaning you're environmentally friendly, your social score, meaning you don't say fag a lot, and your governmental score, meaning you never fucking raise your middle fingers because the government's fucking you in your ass, pretend you love that,
And you
they
fire
will
all the
give you
white people and
government
hire
grants and
all the
loans.
non-white people. You get you get
That part
paid
too.
credit. You get bonus money from the government to fire the white people and hire the non-whites.
Yes,
So right now
that part.
in Canada, we have the National Broadcasting Corporation, CBC. It's like the biggest news we have, which is government subsidized, but $2 billion. They have ads looking for people to work, and it says no whites may apply.
Wait, it says that? Holy
Yeah,
shit.
a place in the states. Yeah, that it was just in YouTube yesterday. There's a place in the states where white people can't apply for a bunch of jobs.
That's illegal.
No, you can't be racist against white people anymore. ESG.
Well, you're not allowed. There's like the civil rights thing where
No, no,
you
that
can't
no, you
discriminate
don't have
against
rights. You
color,
don't.
race, gender.
No, no, no. ESG trumps your rights. The Cold
Melanin.
War Chinese propaganda.
Don't you correct it for her beautifully. Let her correct it. I like that she got a melanoma injected into her. Plural. A lot of melanoma injections.
Like, I
Yeah,
think if
that's
people
not right.
realized how corrupt government is, all government, so it doesn't matter who goes into the government. So it's like a pig pen, right? So you're a cleaner, you're and all your whites, you clean stuff, and they say go in and clean that pig pen. You're not going to come out of the pig pen white, and you're not going to clean it no matter how long you spend in there with paper towels and a sponge. You're never going to clean a pig pen, and that's what the government is. Good people get in there with a purpose and an objective, and then once they're rolling around with the other pigs, they just become pigs.
Exactly. That's why I was trying to articulate when people were like, what's up with Nick? Why don't you like him?" I'm like, "Because he's the government." And that's what I meant by that.
Right.
Something about rolling with the pigs when you said he wasn't the pig before. This is it in chat. If you want, we didn't make that up. There really is an ESG. It really stands for letting the government fuck you and loving it. I
It's
promise. Here
what
it
it
is.
is the government subsidizes all the companies that do the ESG rules. So it's an unfair advantage for corporations. Like all the woke corporations get free government money, or they get tax breaks, or they get something out of it, whereas the right wing or the non knee benders don't get any help at all. So that's why these companies like CNN aren't bankrupt right now, because of ESG.
Was that right? I think there's a lot of fucking boomers who still watch that shit.
No, CNN is I think it's up for sale. The only people that watch
CNN is
CNN
up for
are
sale.
airports and dentist offices and old folks' homes.
What about him?
What was your question?
I don't remember. I got a text message and it interrupted me. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that CNN is like on the verge of bankruptcy,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's
were you saying the dentist you can buy old folks home in dentist, or that's where boomers go?
that's the only place that has CB or CNN on TV is like the airports, the dentist office, the bus stops, like because you can't change the channel, otherwise it's just stuck there.
That's funny.
Because if you
Do you
look
know
at the
why?
advertisers on CBC, this tells you who's paying for the commercials. It's only Pfizer and like health insurance. That's a scam health insurance. Like there's no real advertisers on CNN.
Oh no, what have I done? I pushed that button. I didn't mean to push that button. Now
That's
make
what you
is
need to
this
get
an
your
ad?
husband for Christmas. That's an ad for your husband's tool for Christmas.
Isn't this cool? I have seen this ad. Let's watch it again. Well, they should have a watch again. They've lost an opportunity here. I didn't even know it was
It's just a
playing.
drill
Your
bit that you
health
can
is your
I'm
change.
not
biggest
doing
asset.
this. The government
Find
is
amp-
messing with my PC. Show me the other ad. I don't care about this guy and his
I
very
mentioned
long
healthcare and
child.
that
Why is
comes
this
up
child so long? Why is its butt way down here, but the top of its head
because
is
they're
over here?
stretching its organs apart.
Oh no. Oh no. They ate that baby.
some blue
We're gonna watch this. This is what the show's about.
Free, yeah, yeah.
Censorship files? According to new reporting from Public, a whistleblower has come forward with explosive documents describing activities of an anti-disinformation group called the Cyber Threat Intelligence League, offering a glimpse into the birth of anti-disinformation, or what others have called the censorship industrial complex.
Joining us now to discuss is journalist at Public and CBR chair in politics, censorship, and free speech at the University of Austin, Michael Schellenberger. Michael, welcome. So great to have you in studio in person.
It's great to be here.
Well, we're so happy to have you here to discuss your really terrific and important reporting on the origins of
Look at the
this
stickers on their laptops.
anti-disinformation.
What'd you say?
Can we get matching stickers on the back of our laptops?
Is that what they have? Damn, they're a real
Yeah.
team. We
So
need
that
that.
the Hill used to be a good program until they chased the ESG score. Now they got like two bottom of the barrel journalists that are like fresh fish who just like, yes, Massa, whatever questions you want me to ask, Massa.
That's kind of how this felt, actually. We probably won't watch the whole thing. Well, maybe we will. It looks like it gets interesting again in 11 minutes, but we don't need to watch this whole thing. But a little bit of this. At one point, she says something about the left and then attributes that to something the right does, I'm like, you missed it here. But
That's the trick. So I can't remember what the actual name for it. It's whatever you're doing, you accuse your opponent of doing. So then when they go, wait a minute, that's what you're doing, it looks like they're pointing the finger first. So that's how, like, back in the old days, if you were pickpocket and you would take money out, like get caught stealing money out of someone's pocket, you would scream, pickpocket, this guy's a pickpocket, while you were actually pickpocketing him. So the whole crowd thinks that he's the pickpocket, and then you just have the two Spider-Mans pointing at each other and everyone just walks away and forgets it.
That's annoying.
It's like how husbands will accuse their wife of cheating when they're the actual cheater.
Yeah.
It's a technique. I can't remember the name of it though.
It's
Good morning, what the
You'll
flock?
think of it. It'll come to you. What'd you say?
I was just saying good morning to what the flock.
Oh, good morning, Miss Block. Good to see you. You're not even late. 30 minutes and we're just getting into it.
I think Kim
Because-
Iverson used to be on this show and she left it because they kept telling her what she couldn't say. So she started her own news network.
Like, you read a fucking teleprompter, bitch. What did you expect to happen here? We're gonna fucking tell you what to say. Okay, let's go.
Movement, this group of intelligence officials and bureaucrats and social media moderators and so-called experts in various places who came together, started these organizations that we're grappling with and that we discuss on the show a lot, how they've threatened free speech. So tell us, what you've learned and what you expose in this piece.
Sure. Well, this is, as you mentioned, it's the ctil files. This is an organization that started really in 2019, but then started getting up and running in 2020. We only know about this because a very patriotic whistleblower delivered a huge tranche of new files to us. And it's impressive because it's a really complete set of documents, so you can see exactly what they were doing. But what's so terrifying about this case is that the people that were running it were military contractors, including working for the U.S. Navy at the time. One of them was British, one of them was American. There were many other people involved. There were people involved from Microsoft. There was a so-called former Israeli intelligence
your own government.
person who was involved. So you really start to see, because of course you always had people that had been in the CIA or had been in intelligence agencies sort of involved in this, but then they had said, well, we're no longer doing that, or we're associated with an academic institution. Here you really see a much more direct connection. And I think you see two parts of the censorship industrial complex in the ctil files that are really important. The first is the use of supposedly non-governmental organizations as the people to go and demand the censorship. That shows an awareness that they know that the government can't be demanding censorship by social media platforms, an awareness that the First Amendment prohibits that. And then the second part of it that I think was so important in this case is they said these people are all volunteers. That these are folks that even if they might be working for the government, and we have Slack messaging channels with people from the Department of Homeland Security in the channel, with people from Facebook and people from CTIL. So this is it really reveals, I think, what.
Exactly. Okay, so that's
Except
kind
the
of
government held a gun to Facebook's head and said, censor those people.
Well, okay, that's what the whistleblower came out to say, that that they've been behind the scenes pulling all of these. So the article that they showed, we have it here. CTIL files. #1, U.S. and UK military contractors created sweeping plan for global censorship in 2028. New document.
Canada did the same thing. They actually got caught and admitted that they were using the military intelligence service to manipulate Canadians' perspectives on current events.
There is the person who came out with the files. We're gonna look at those. It's I'll show you.
Do you remember like none of these words existed 10 years ago? Misinformation, disinformation, none of these words existed until the people in the top of the government started getting caught.
Yeah, and the misinformation, I think one of them means like rooted in truth. Like, wait, what?
Misinformation is like Nova was speeding doing 140 miles an hour. I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. Completely false. Untrue. Unfalse. I was doing 139. That's how
like
they do
these
it.
Fact checkers. Okay, so because of this article, I was looking up. I hope I'm probably jumping way out of. What doesn't matter.
That's how we roll.
But I was looking up. So I used to say, and I still will say it, that Obama changed the Smith-Mundt Act, which is the act from the 40s. It's the short name of it, the two people who brought it, but it's called something else. He changed that so that propaganda can be brought to the United States now, whereas before they had to make a point where United States citizens wouldn't see it, that it wouldn't be propagated here. And that changed then. And I was looking for it and looking for it. I'm like, I know it's here. It's been so long since I like really engaged in this information that I wasn't easily finding it, but I did find a fact checker. And the fact checker was like, not true, because it says that, they did all of this stuff. And when we look at in Obama's budget for the fiscal year of 2012, I think, or 13, it says it doesn't have any of these words in it. And I'm like, wait, what? Well, thankfully, and this is what people should understand, the fact checkers will always give you all of the information. They just won't tell you how to use it and how to read it. So
Right.
you just need to pull out the information that says it. They're like, you're stupid. You said the wrong thing. It wasn't in the Smith-Mundt Act. It was in the fiscal year budget. You're like, well, fuck it. Pull up the fiscal year budget and then do your own search. Of course,
Right.
those
That
words aren't in there. But
misinformation.
if it's like talking to the AI right now, you got to figure out exactly how to get it to do what you want to do. So I'm like, okay, so I started searching for different words that were similar, and I did find it in the budget. It's just under a longer name, with all of the things that they took out. So I'm like, Jesus, even the fact checker is smart enough to know everything except for the truth. Like, they basically say this is false when it's right here.
Because the fact
saying
checkers
was.
kept getting exposed for like, so I think it was Mark Dice went through and went to all the like Snopes, all the different fact checkers, and went into their who owned the company and who was paying for it, and it was all from like government agencies was basically paying for it through third party democratic platforms.
I'm not surprised. The problem with reading these articles and even the documents that go along with them is that the government uses acronyms for everything. It's
To keep you in the dark,
CTIL,
right?
run CIS, who's part of the DHS, who's into the FBI and the NSA and the LCD. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah,
just
we're just
put a
gonna
rainbow
word
on this
salad you
shit and
until
move
you give
on.
up.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's not frustrating. I literally, when I first started reading these on Friday, I got my my post-its, because I was like, what I'm gonna have to do probably is put post-its here like on my PC so that I could remember what
All,
this dumb little
all around the
things.
border.
Yes, because it's so convoluted that it's hard to follow it. By halfway through, you're just like, I don't
And
care
they
about
do it
this.
that way on purpose, designed perfectly. Like because they've done
Well,
it 100 times. So every time they get caught, they go, okay, we just need to change this to here and get away
what
with it again. Then they
No,
just
I think this is in their
adapt.
file. This
And
is in their whistle. This is them trying to give the public this information because they think it matters. And even in here, it's confusing. So I don't think they're really trying to do that. I think that it is a convoluted mess, and that is the product of it is just going TLDR. I'm not fucking with this.
I don't think
But
people in
because of
government
so
make
by the
accidents.
end of this, I understood the terms and the words and why, kind of how to simplify it, which was
Yes.
helpful, because then I got into the Biden v. Missouri case, and they're exactly the same terms and words and companies and names. Literally, the first name I noticed was Frank something from the FBI. I'm like, how do I know this name? Because
Right.
this one that we're going to look at is done really well. It's just really fucking hard to understand. So I guess we
We'll make
can
it
just get into it. I don't know if I should read this.
It's like when you guys pass budgets in the House, the government will produce a budget, say 1,000 pages, and then the Republicans will say, no, we want amendments to that. We can't agree to all these things. So they say, okay, we'll change a few things. Then they make it a 10,000 page budget that everybody has to read in the next hour and a half during the recess. And it's impossible. You can't read them all. You can't, it's just literally impossible. And then they have to sign it because there's one thing in there the Republicans want it. So okay, we'll accept every, it's crazy. It's like, here's that piece of candy you wanted. It's in the bag with all this shit. Take it home with you.
And you're like, and now say thank you.
Right.
Thanks.
You voted for it. You can't say anything now. You guys voted for it.
Right. And so what they did at first for this was they used it for the 2020 election, and since for all of the COVID stuff. So,
Right.
and for any other shit that they were going to decide that
Because
they
they
don't
knew
like.
they were going to have to censor sooner or later. They knew what was coming.
Oh, I forgot to tell you that they moved Lori Vallow to Arizona.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting.
So think like before the internet, so 40 years ago, before the internet, if the government wanted to censor something, they could just tell the media, hey, don't run this in the news, and then nobody would ever know.
Right.
Because I couldn't search
Exactly.
up the congressional, library and shit like that. It's just impossible. Now I can.
That's why, and that's why they have to do it in such a roundabout way, because they are not allowed to censor us. They're not allowed to do the shit that they're doing, so they have to get Elon to do it.
Well,
And
that's why
Elon's
you
like, I'm
hired the
not going to
third
do it.
party.
So then they put pressure on him through advertisers, and it's a mess, but it's all coming from the government.
Right. It's like hiring a hitman. I didn't kill her. I didn't kill her. No, you hired the hitman though. Yeah, but the
Exactly.
hitman did the murder.
Yeah, that's like Mercada saying, I talked to Josh for 2 hours about how I didn't want him to take down my stuff. Now, if later Josh takes down the stuff, is that my problem?
Right.
No, it's
Yeah,
your
I
it's
dry
based on
begged him
your
for 2
actions.
hours from the shower
Weird.
while I was
Okay,
naked.
we're going to read this. This is the weaponization of disinformation, pseudo experts, and bureaucrats. How the federal government partnered with universities to censor Americans' political speech. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but there have been several times where we bring up Stanford, and I'm like, fuck Stanford, they're bastards. That's where all of this shit in the university stems from. They are a government organization,
I
even
think
though
this is
they're
Cold War. I
a
think,
school.
the Cold War in the 80s,
Yeah.
that was like a spy. They were spy. There was no like bullet shot, but they were doing some serious dirty spy activity. And I think that the communists literally just took over the Ivy League schools with money.
Is that
And
when
now they
Mockingbird
control
was?
every smart person, on both sides, the Republicans, the Democrats, they just brainwashed them all with the Ivy League schools, and it just trickles down. It's easier to take over a bunch of universities with cash than it is to take over a country with weapons.
So,
That's why the
Operation
CIA
Mockingbird.
did it in the Middle East and Nicaragua and Cuba and all these other places. They just had their own methodology turned back on them.
Yeah. But that's what Mockingbird was them getting found out during the Cold War era,
Right.
the early years.
And now I
Like
just watched one this morning. So there's Operation Paperclip, and I just learned of a new one called Operation Paper.
paper or just regular paper?
Just paper, yeah. It's where they were protecting the top level Nazis during the Nuremberg trials. So American agents were going up and going, no, this little Nazi here, he's a good Nazi. Let's just let him go. I think he feels bad for what he did. Yeah, we're going to just bring him back to America and get him a job at the bread factory, and he's going to work part-time at Stanford.
Wait, wasn't that Paperclip? Isn't that Paperclip?
There's Paperclip, and there's a new one called, well, it's not new, another one called Operation Paper.
Paper is where they weren't scientists, they were just regular people?
They were just SS agents that they wanted to bring the evil back to America. Well, actually, sorry.
Well, that's where NASA came from. NASA came from Werner von Braun or some shit.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
I misspoke. So what they did was they got all these top level SS agents and they put them in different positions all over Europe because the new world order is going to need to be controlled by people who have the capabilities. And then they created agents called werewolves. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
So these werewolves were working, they were like retired SS agents who were relocated into new homes all through Europe, given prestigious jobs at universities and schools and government. And they were the model citizen. They volunteered everywhere. They helped kids. They were perfect citizens, except at night they would dress up and go murder and fuck up people and then come back. That was the werewolf part. So they were creating terror everywhere they were, but they were the good guy. Everyone loved, everyone, rallied around. He was a principal. He was a pastor. Like, it was called Werewolves.
Great.
And there's probably 1 million of them in America right now.
What the hell? I thought I highlighted a bunch of the. Oh, I did. Oh,
there
I
you
didn't
go.
highlight till page 9. I think I need to tell you more before we get that far. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of werewolves. First One Shot said we're really good at picking the best dictators and warlords. No, they're picking themselves.
Right.
That's why I think they thought there was no doubt that Hillary was getting in. They really honestly think that's why they are going so hard since, is because that didn't work. They thought they had, I don't know, they thought they understood what the silent majority wanted, or they thought they were controlling them better. Some shit. They jumped the shark somehow.
The farmers
Okay.
don't care what the pigs think.
But turns out they should have cared a little bit more because the pigs got to eat their lunch for 4 years. And now we're
Yeah,
fucked.
then they
Now we getting
slaughtered all those
slaughtered.
pigs.
Yes. And now we just bacon, Canadian bacon, all different types of bacon. We bacon in ice cream, bacon in hand lotions, there's bacon everywhere.
Right? We'll bribe them with bacon.
Yep. Where the bacon, y'all. Okay. This is the executive summary. This should just sum it up for us and then we'll get into this.
Perfect.
Following the 2016 presidential election, a sensationalized narrative emerged that foreign disinformation affected the integrity of the election. These claims, fueled by left-wing election denialism about the legitimacy of President Trump's victory, sparked a new focus on the role of social media platforms in spreading such information. Disinformation, think tanks and experts, government task force, and university centers were formed, all to study and combat the alleged rise in alleged mis and disinformation. As the House Committee on the Judiciary and the Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government have shown previously, these efforts to combat the so-called foreign influence and misinformation quickly mutated to include domestic, that is, American speech. The
Yes.
First
So you
Amendment
guys
to the
had
Constitution. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you guys had the FBI went and opened files and knocked on the doors of a bunch of parents that went to a parent-teacher meeting that were upset about the ideology being forced down the throats at schools. So the government opened an investigation and put agents on parents because they dare open their mouth at a parent-teacher.
And it's irrelevant. They don't have to be parents. They're citizens and they have a right to speak.
Not anymore.
The First Amendment to the Constitution rightly limits the government's role in monitoring and censoring American speech, but these disinformation researchers, funded in part by tax dollars, were not strictly bound by the constitutional guardrails. These guardrails. What the federal government could not do directly, it effectively outsourced to the newly emerging censorship industrial complex. So because they can't do that, they hired somebody else to do it. But even that they know is not good. So they're going to try to
Plausible deniability.
launder it. But they don't
No,
call
no,
it
they
laundering.
didn't ask Facebook. They nickricated Facebook.
No. They put a step between them and Facebook, and we're going to see that now. Which step that was that they stuck in the middle. It says in the lead up. Wait, did I miss one? Enter the election integrity partnership. This is the middleman. A consortium of disinformation academics led by Stanford University's SIO, which is the Stanford Internet Observatory. I kind of like that name. That work directly with the Department of Homeland Security and the Global Engagement Center, a multi-agency entity housed within the State Department. So the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of State. That's where the EIP and that's who Stanford is working directly with to create this EIP. It's called Election Integrity Partnership, but its original name was Election Disinformation Partnership or some shit. And they're like, let's not call it disinformation. It's too much of what we actually is doing.
Well, it's like you guys created the Ministry of Truth straight out of George Orwell's 1984.
Wait, we did, but then they got rid of it, right?
Yeah, no, it was created until people like that's way too fucking communist China crazy. Like even the leftists are like, man, we can't go that fucking far. Like
Too obvious.
they even
too
named it
obvious.
exactly the same name from the Orwell book, Ministry of Truth. Like V for Vendetta, like crazy shit.
So yes, that part. Where was I? Censor Americans. Okay, they made the DHS and the Department of State made the EIP through the Stanford and a couple other partners to monitor and censor Americans' online speech in the advance of the 2020 presidential election. So on the run up to that, created in the summer of 2020 at the request of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agent, CISA. Anyways, the EIP provided a way for the federal government to launder its censorship activities in hopes of bypassing both the First Amendment and public scrutiny. So we're going to tear this apart and look at what actually that means here in a second.
So this actually just exploded with YouTube like a week ago.
Yeah, this just the one whistleblower came out with a shitload of documents just on the last
Specifically
Thursday.
about YouTube.
Specifically about YouTube.
Yes.
Is there a file for it?
Jim Jordan, I think, was the one who got down to the truth of it.
Let's see. What do you so was it in where'd this happen?
It was somebody in the like from the White House or White House
Mhm.
related sending emails directly to YouTube and listing names, take down blah 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 or blah 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 should be looked at. Wink wink. Nick Rekieta.
That's okay, so that will happen in this doc.
Because it was all around the election. It was all stuff that, if people saw the truth would have been upset. So they had to censor the truth and then they come back, oh yeah, we made a mistake, but it's 4 years later and too bad, so sad now. And that's all, if you can do that and you can just wait them out 4 years, you never suffer the consequences, you're never punished for your actions. Why wouldn't you keep? It's like cheating on your wife. You could cheat on your wife every 4 years because, she's gotten over it.
It's true. That's medical advice. Okay. I don't see anything about Jim Jordan that's new. It seems like it's kind of the same stuff. It sounds like have you seen anyone covering the Missouri v. Biden? It's over now, but did you before in the
I don't
last year or
believe
two?
so.
Okay, because that might be what he's talking about, but or this, I'm not really sure.
No, because I think it was big enough that I think Matt Taibbi, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
And somebody else were doing like the Twitter lives.
Schellenberg, that's the guy who we saw here. Oh, this guy?
Maybe it was, yeah.
That's him. That is the other. So Talibi they dropped the Twitter files, right? There was like 3 of them that they dropped them. He's one of them. He's the one that's dropped this last whistleblower
okay.
drop. And that's this thing that we're looking at now. The second part 2 of the censorship industrial complex.
And there's proof that Operation Paperclip is still working today because no mainstream media covered the Twitter files when it's probably like as big as Watergate for explosive like corruption.
First, Sean said, you guys don't think the CIA was involved in our 2020 totally fair and free elections, do you? No.
Yes, 100%.
Yes and no. Try that. Also,
actually,
yes.
I can say no. Here, I can say no because there are no elections. They're just.
Oh yeah. Oh wait. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to scroll down. This is just introduction to what we're about to see. So what happened is, here's the federal government. That's the cybersecurity and infrastructure and the, I don't know what, the government, I don't know what these are, but this is the State Department and the Department of Homeland Security. The reason it's important to remember that it's the Department of Homeland Security is the reason they need them here is because they're allowed to spy on us because we're idiots. After 9/11, the Patriot Act, right? So there's an aspect of what do you
which
call
Snowden and Assange exposed for, and now they're on run for their life.
Yeah. Well, so this is why they need them. They need the DHS. I mean, yeah, the Department of Homeland Security. So
it's not legal. Yeah, it's not legal without the blue guy.
Yes, exactly. Because they're going to say, well, we just wanted to make sure that there's a bunch of reasons why there's 4 reasons why they
So
think
without the blue guy, that means everyone from the federal all the way down the line has the ability to be arrested.
Huh?
Without getting that special permission, right?
Even that. No, they actually don't have it. I think that
No, that's the mask they're hiding behind not to be arrested.
That they're hiding behind that mask. It's still not. It's still that would be like a very, very, I don't know.
But the justice system who would charge those people is controlled by the guy below them. So it's they each got each other over, so no one can do it. They're just at a stalemate. Like, I can't do anything to you because you can't do anything to me.
And they put together the SIO, the Stanford Internet Observatory, which is 3 different companies. They all get together
and look into who funds those companies.
The federal government.
Right. And
that's the
Chinese.
Thing. And who?
The Chinese.
No. Mostly the federal government. I don't see Chinese funding here. That's the thing I decided this weekend also while I was munching on black pills is that fuck all these American companies. I'm going to go full Chinese at my house because at least they're not going to sell my information to the government. fuck, they don't like the government as much as I don't like the government. So I'm
Well, at
going
least the
full
Chinese
China.
tell you that they're doing it. Admit to
Hey,
doing it.
I
Yeah,
don't.
we're
Obviously, it
stealing your
doesn't
shit.
matter if they tell me they're doing it. So I rather want the one who's not going to use it against me, like to my
Right.
face, the one I have to pledge allegiance to the fucking second my mom shot me out of a gene. I'm like, what's with the birth certificate, mom? What's with the social security card?
Yeah.
Why you sign me up
Why
for
am I
this
a
shit?
registered slave now?
Thanks. Okay. These are okay. So they created this internet election integrity partnership.
Right.
This is where they send all their information to, and then these people in the middle send it out to big tech. So they're the ones that are like, hey, Stanford, let Facebook know that they could fuck themselves. And they're like, hey, Facebook, State Department said you're ugly, and
Exactly.
whatever. That's how it works. And that's how they wanted it to work. They wanted to have almost nothing to do with it, that that the people in the middle, the EIP, could handle, knew all the narratives they wanted silenced, knew all the stories that they didn't want out there, true or
Right.
false. It was irrelevant. That's what's happening here.
And
Here's who
half
was being censored. We will see this again later, but here's the a shorter list that's out of order. I don't know. I don't like that they put it out of order, because in the real list, this Chanel Ryan or whoever is at the top. President
now
Trump.
think about that list. I bet you everyone on that list has made a video about being censored before this came out. And everyone's like, no, not possible. And then this comes out and they all have a fucking video about it. Like,
Yeah. Donald Trump, Senator Tom Tillis, Speaker Newt Gingrich, Mike Huckabee, Congressman Massey, Congressman MTG, Newsmax, Babylon Bee, Sean Hannity, Molly Hemingway, Hamit Dillon, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Jack Posobiec, Tom Fitton, James O'Keefe, Benny Johnson, where was I? Michelle Malkin, I don't know these people, Sean
Malkin, yeah.
Davis, Dave Rubin, Paul Sperry, don't know him, Tracy
They're
Beans.
all center right. None of them are left. There's not one left wing person there.
I know Tracy. I don't know
Dave Rubin, you know Dave Rubin.
I know Dave Rubin. I know James O'Keefe.
Benny Johnson
don't
has
watch
pretty
Jack.
good Twitter and YouTube. He's a little too intense to like watch a lot, but he's really good. Charlie Kirk.
And then what was being censored? True information, jokes and satire, and political opinions. So these are just
Babylon Bee
examples.
was
They
kicked off
exist
of Twitter.
later in this document.
Right? A
Who
satirical
was?
Babylon Bee. They just do cartoons that are satirical. Very vanilla. Like there's nothing like over
But
the
they
top.
but their satire, their jokes are so close to the truth and upside down world. They're like,
And that hurt them. And Elon Musk followed Babylon Bee. I think that helped push him like to buy. He's like, yeah, I gotta buy it.
Okay, we're gonna read this. It says, as part of this report, the committee and subcommittee are releasing all of the previous secret archive data the committee has obtained pursuant to a subpoena issued to Stanford, which Stanford produced only after the threat of contempt. In the lead up to the 2020 election, the Department of Homeland Security had the ability to see what American speech was being censored. Today, as a result of the committees and select subcommittees investigation, political candidates, journalists, and all Americans have the opportunity to see if they were targeted by the government and what viewpoints DHS, Stanford, and others work to censor. While the EIP disproportionately targeted conservatives, Americans of all political affiliations were victims of censorship. The First
Bullshit.
Amendment prohibits
99.99%
the
right wing.
government from abridging the freedom of speech and protects the rights of the people to petition the government. The ability of Americans to criticize the government and its policies is a fundamental and sacrosanct principle of our constitutional republic. The Supreme Court has long recognized that for core political speech, the importance of First Amendment protection is at its zenith. Moreover, as constitutional scholars have explained, because the First Amendment bars abridging the freedom of speech, any law or government policy that reduces that freedom on the social media platforms violates the First Amendment. The government may not dictate the type or terms of the criticism to which it is subject, especially when the government disagrees with the merits of that criticism. To inform potential legislation, the committee and the select subcommittee have been investigating the executive branch's collusion with third-party intermediaries, including universities, to censor protected speech on social media. Okay.
University is supposed to be like the free speech bastion of the world. That's why American universities were so allotted worldwide, because they were the one of the few places where you could say anything. Like even in England, you couldn't say shit about the Queen, but in America, you could say the shit about the president. That's why American freedom was so fucking cherished. It's the only country in the world that had it. People don't realize this, and now you guys don't have it anymore.
They fucked everything. So maybe you're right. Maybe it all is all China, because remember a few years ago when they they found out that the scientific journals were also co-opted.
Yeah,
Not only
they
were they trash, but they would post fucking anything as long as it was narrative, virtue
as long as
signaling.
it was anti-white male dog rape video. Yeah, look into that. Stanford and all these
Embarrassing.
other Ivy League schools passed these fake journals that showed that white dogs had a propensity to rape black dogs more often than any. Like they completely made these studies up like it was like a bunch of like smart people did it on purpose and submitted them all. Like these all have to be rejected. These are all so widely, unbelievably untrue. They have to be
Yeah, but
rejected and they were getting
so they
published. They were
discredit
getting cited.
science, they discredit universities, discredit the system, and then they say it's us, it's patriots who did that. Like, what the
Right.
fuck? Okay. Okay, so this is the glossary of terms. It's a lot. All of these are going to be in here. The counter CISAs, which is DHS's Countering Foreign Influence Task Force.
And the
The
nicer the
Center
name
for
looks, the more dangerous it is.
I don't know about that. FBI is pretty fucking, I guess that is pretty nice. Okay, CIS. This is one that's important. In Center for Internet Security. This is CISA funded, which means it's DHS funded. CISA is here, the Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. So they basically do the same thing.
It's like, in my mind, your Homeland Security should be protecting you guys from outside entities trying to stop your free speech,
Well, they
not stop
have,
Americans.
that's what this is. This is Department of Homeland Security's task force under CISA, which brought together DHS components, including intelligence and analysis and others, to look at the broader foreign influence and disinformation challenge based on the U.S. intel community's 2017 assessment of foreign influence. That's what there is a part of DHS that's looking strictly at foreign influence, but the FBI and the CIA already do that, so they don't have to do it. So the Homeland part of it, they're saying if we see it, if you give us a credible lead, and
Yeah,
then
anything we
this,
want.
the Department of Homeland Security has been given the permission to look into citizens here just to make sure that they're not doing anything bad. Kind of
Right.
like the FISA, when they
Yeah, it was supposed to have checks and balances, and it's just a blank fucking anything you want.
no,
now.
they had checks and balances. They lied to the court. They lied to
Yes,
the
that's what I mean.
FISA
But the
court
court
to
knew.
get. The court didn't know.
They kind of knew. They
The
take
court
it to the
didn't
right
know.
judges. They don't take it to the right wing judges. They only took it to the left wing judges.
I don't know about any of that, but the
And
court
that's
didn't know.
like the right side does it on their wing too. If they want something won, they make sure it goes to the right side judge.
Yeah, they hope, but at the end of the day, you don't get to pick your judge most of the time.
That's what they tell you.
No, you don't. Okay, so maybe they're being assigned behind the scenes.
Black
Sure.
pill, yes. I black
So
pill.
this is the other one. These two
Like,
were
look how
going
Trump got
to.
his judge. Tell me that was random. That guy's crazy. He's
It
like
was random.
Dr. Spiegel crazy.
Yeah, but he's.
That wasn't a random selection.
Why not?
Too blatantly obvious for a random selection.
You know that in random, the law of random numbers, you could get them all in order. How blatantly obvious would that be?
I gamble.
This
I
is
play
less
roulette.
blatant than that, so it could be done. Random as it seems, when you start saying 100% certain, I start figuring I need to disagree with you.
And in New York.
And in New York, so he was probably always going to get a judge like that. You can stick your hand in a fishbowl and
I
10 out of 11 are like that.
I think he's so crazy though that even the people on the left are like, man, no, that's too much. That's too much. We needed a lesser one.
Good,
Like,
that's a good thing. Then they went too far, which is how they've done it all
but
this
that's
whole
how
time.
that's how desperate they are to win. They're going to any lengths. I think, who was it? Jordan Peterson said, if you think strong men are cruel, wait until you see weak men in power, how cruel they can be.
Yeah. Hey, Sparky. Good morning.
Good morning.
First shot said, that's, yeah, you got to shop your judges. It's what federal district you live in, you file in. File in a district with a sympathetic judge.
Right.
Okay, let's get through this. We're on page 10 of 104. EIP, the Election Integrity Partnership. This is important.
Yes.
Originally, the Election Disinformation Partnership, it was changed. This is who's in it. Can you, wait, let me get my highlighter. Can you see this?
Oh, she's highlighting on
Oh.
the. Yeah.
Okay, these people are in it. Stanford, the University of Washington, Graphica, which is we're going to see right here. It is a social media analytics platform that specializes in monitoring online networks as well as content to provide insights and spread information. So these are just helpful tools on the backside of things. Data Research Lab. So they're the ones that help figure out the source of certain tweets, the source of certain narratives, and
Yeah. Like how
how
Elon
they're
caught the
spread.
source of his tweet.
Huh?
How Elon caught the Media Matters.
Oh, kind of.
That's what they do.
Yeah, exactly. They are, well, these ones aren't necessarily in, well, they're going to create their own system, but these ones are looking at the existing networks, and they'd have to grapple with like what's already happening. I think that's why they choose them. Chris Krebs is the director of CISA. One of their programs, they rename it to MDM. It's called the Misinformation, Disinformation, and Malinformation.
Yeah.
This is the
Truth,
dumbest name ever.
truthiness, and too much truth.
SIO is the Stanford Research or Internet Observatory. Okay, that's it. There are so many. I'm gonna try to keep reminding you when it's the government that this is the government. It's irrelevant what they fucking call themselves. They're the government, and they shouldn't be doing this. There's a lot of highlights. All right. The
They're basically just
EI, huh?
They're basically just like free speech hitmen.
Yes, they absolutely are. The Election Integrity Partnership was established in July 2020 and consisted of the nation's self-described leading institutions focused on understanding misinformation and disinformation in the social media landscape. The Stanford Internet Observatory, the University of Washington Center for an Informed Public, Graphica, and the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Lab are the EIPs. Their goal was identifying misinformation before it goes viral and flagging policy violations to social media platforms. Led by Stanford, the EIP was devised and founded in close coordination with the government, CISA, a little-known agency within DHS, created less than 2 years earlier. Stanford and others, in collaboration with the government, established the EIP for the express purpose of violating American civil liberties because no federal agency has a focus on or authority regarding election misinformation originating from domestic sources within the United States. That's why they did it, because they looked around like, no one's doing this. Well, let's do it. There is a, quote, critical gap for non-governmental entities to fill, end quote. CISA and Stanford created the EIP to bridge this critical gap, an unconstitutional workaround for unconstitutional censorship. CISA's precursor, censorship efforts. The creation of EIP did not occur in a vacuum. Before EIP's origination in the summer of 2020, CISA was directly or indirectly involved with the operation or consideration of at least 3 other misinformation reporting channels. 1, called Switchboarding. 2, the Election Infrastructure Information Sharing and Analysis Center, the EISAC. We're going to hear about them again. It's such a long one. But right here, it's important that it's the Infrastructure Sharing and Analysis Center. That's what all of these are. They're basically like Discord. It's just a hub where you can go share information. So
We're
there are
going
a
to dump
lot
it
of
into this bucket, and then the government can check it
ISACs.
from their house too.
Exactly. 3, a misinformation reporting portal to be operated by the government, a nonprofit, by CIS, the Center for Internet Security, which is housed in CISA, which is part of the DHS. So now we're 2 removed from the signal to fucking shit on the Constitution. The constitutional defects with these reporting channels notwithstanding, CISA and disinformation experts recognized that they needed another avenue to monitor and remove American speech in the lead up to the 2020 election. The EIP served that role, functioning, in the words of the head of EIP, a former chief security officer at Facebook, big shock, Alex Stamos, as the one-stop shop for local election officials, DHS, and voter protection organizations to work directly with social media platforms to censor the speech of American political candidates and commentators.
Right.
What?
So they know
Okay.
we can't do it within the law, but if we take 2 extra steps outside of the law, then we can do what we want.
Which they
That's all they're
can't.
that's all
It's
they're saying.
also strictly illegal. They're not allowed we'll come across it again, but they are not allowed to get other companies to do that which they're constitutionally disallowed to do.
No, they're
This is
not, but they
ridiculous.
are. The truth of it is that's what they did, and that's what everyone
Because
goes,
they're
"Oh,
doing it
okay."
doesn't mean they're allowed. They could still be stopped. Actually, this is going to the Supreme Court next year. Not this. Biden v. Missouri, or Missouri v. Biden, I guess how you say that, because they
Yes.
sued him. A lot of stuff happened in that court where we can pull it up later, actually, if we have time. I doubt, probably maybe next Monday. But a lot of stuff happened. Like they want Fauci to be deposed. They wanted the lady that does their speaking. You know who I'm talking about? Jean
Yeah,
something.
Black
Jean-Pierre.
Pierre or something.
Her, that they found, I don't know, they found that the government's not allowed to do the shit that it did. And so they appealed it. Obviously, the White House and all them, they appealed it. And we'll see
John
where it
Fitton's
goes
got a
from there.
lot of good lawsuits against the American government right now. Or
Where's he
Tom
with?
Fitton, sorry, Tom.
What's the company he's with?
Judicial Watch.
Oh, Judicial Watch, yeah. Okay, let's keep going. So 1, switchboarding, disclaimers, and the threat of government retaliation. So these are the ways that they were trying to figure out how to get the censorship done. First way was
Right.
called switchboarding. Switchboarding is like the OG way. Switchboarding is what, in Biden's lawsuit, they really got caught up with. And
Okay.
so switchboarding describes the federal government's practice of referring requests for the removal of content on social media from state and local election officials to relevant platforms. CISA's personal involvement in the agency's switchboarding operation has that says personnel. That's fucking me up. CISA personnel involved in the agency's switchboarding operation have described it as resource-intensive process, documenting and I didn't highlight this. I gotta remember not to read what I didn't highlight.
Screenshotting's definitely intensive work.
No, referring requests for removal on content, they were literally having to like copy. I don't know if they were screenshotting it with the link or what, but
Because they were doing it with
imagine
memes.
how much content there is. Imagine if it was you and me, we're gonna go fucking moderate, even if we only picked one, Facebook, all day long. There's no way we could like effectively monitor and report and do any type of follow-up
And
ever.
what they would do is they would take like a really good popular meme, and anyone that shared that meme, they would just fucking shadow ban all those people that shared the same meme, so they could get like 2 million people
That's
with one
what they
meme.
wanted done. But here is the government having to tell the social medias, and that there was no such thing. They had to give you each personal link, anyone who shared the link. That's what they mean by labor intensive.
I gotcha.
Because it's like not hard work whatsoever. It just took a lot of fucking time to police
That's why they just picked out that list of people, the important ones, the most visible ones.
CISA person, I already read that. Documents and information obtained by the committee review. Oh, wait, again, I don't want to read this shit that's not highlighted. DHS's efforts to assist with the reporting of mis and disinformation on social media platforms predate the creation of CISA. Former CISA director Chris Krebs testified that CISA's predecessor, the National Protection and Programs Directorate, the NPPD, engaged in switchboarding prior to the creation of CISA. After CISA's creation, switchboarding continued throughout the 2020 election cycle, but was discontinued for the 2022 election. Sure. Because they got other shit to do now. They got a portal.
Right.
DHS in litigation and before the committee, has insisted that CISA's switchboarding role was only that of an intermediary facilitating the sharing of reports, but not playing a substantive role in the misinformation reporting process. For example, DHS Secretary Mayorkas testified to the committee in July 2023 that what it amounted to was serving as an intermediary between election officials and social media companies. We were not making a judgment. Head of CISA Counter and Foreign Intelligence Task Force Brian Scully, which we will hear his name a lot, you might as well remember it, CISA FBI employee Brian Scully, testified in Missouri v. Biden that switchboarding was CISA's role in forwarding reporting received from election officials to social media platforms. But documents obtained by the committee reveal that switchboarding could include more substantive interactions. For example, in one email chain, a senior CISA official explained to the officer of the Colorado Secretary of State how Twitter had handled flagged parody accounts previously and how Twitter is likely to handle the account being flagged in that claim. Email exchanges such as this one contradict the description of CISA switchboarding as passive role, and that CISA would weigh in on the substance of the post when communicating directly with large-scale media platforms.
Yeah.
See what's happening here?
Pick
They're
up the
saying
phone.
we thought it was a great idea and we're funding it. We have nothing to do with it. Hands off. And instead they're like, okay, well, what's this email where it says, yeah, we shared a bunch of somebody drew a dick on this page and it probably was me. Yeah, we shared a bunch of accounts with Twitter the other
That's a
day.
bowl.
They
That's a
were
pipe.
That's a pipe. Is that what your pipe looked like? A dick?
I'm trying to cover for you.
Yeah, it's got water down at the bottom part. You knew. Anyway, hold on. Let me put the water in the pipe so you guys are not retarded. Put a little flame on the top so you know where the weeds go.
That looks
Okay.
worse.
Oh no, that's the flame. That's a
That's
cherry.
ball. He's got blue balls and red pubes.
Oh shit. Oh, I'm glad I drew in front of y'all so you know how that came about. Okay, this is Brian Scully from the Department of Homeland Security from his government website or email saying he's replying to someone in Colorado. We shared a bunch of accounts with Twitter the other day. Oh, did ya? They gave the accounts a chance to revise to meet parody account requirements. They're reporting parody accounts and they know it. I guess you
Right.
couldn't tell they were jokes, so they really wanted them
Especially
to
when it says
nice.
parody account for whatever name. Right in the title.
Yeah. I wonder though, so I've seen a lot of parody accounts recently that literally do say it right in the title, and I wonder if this is why, if it's part of the actual rules we're having, because this is 2020, we're 3 years later. They just decided to start changing their rules. They'd stop getting inundated by these government assholes telling them what to do, which is the government's goal. They wanted them just to be able to change to automated do it themselves. But in the meantime, they would just threaten them with whatever. Changing 230, really that's what they were holding over their heads, I think, is they're like, we're gonna make this a regulation thing. And then they knew if they lost their 230 protections, it was just a fucking politics all the way around, I think.
I think if it was regulated, then the government would get in like more trouble for doing what they're doing, censoring it, wouldn't it?
If they knew what?
Because the government can't open your mail right now for the same reason. So I think if they did a 230, wouldn't the government not be able to even open your social media?
No, what they're saying is right now the platforms are acting as publisher and what's the other one? Publisher and
Censor. Editor.
It's the 230.
Publisher.
Someone's got to know it. Who's in chat? It's something, I don't know what the words are, but either way, if they lose their protection, platform v publisher. Okay, if they lose their protection, they're like, we're just a platform. We don't publish this. They're publishing it, but then they're
editing and censoring it.
No, but it's something like if they can't be both, like they hide behind platform when they need to, and then they hide behind publisher when they need to, or something to that effect, or they hide behind platform. So if they got rid of their 230 protections, I'm pretty sure they would no longer, they would be considered the publisher for publishing the thing instead of just the platform where it appears. If you become the publisher, now you're all of a sudden New York Times. It's not, you're getting sued because Amber
Sued
Heard can't shut the fuck
everywhere.
up.
Right.
Right. So I think that's where that was an example,
Or
by the
any
way. Amber Heard, don't sue me,
defamation,
please.
even like the Ricada Monty stuff. Monty could sue Twitter for the stuff Nick said on the platform then because they lost their
Right.
230.
Exactly. Because they're like, nope, we platform it. We don't publish it. And they're like, you're technically fucking publishing it.
Right.
And so the government on their side of things are like, fix it, fix it, fix it, or else you're going to lose this. And I think they understand what that protection provides them, affords
Right.
them, really. Okay. These, I guess, are more emails of them saying, hello again. Let me see if I can zoom in on this. I can
Dry
do that.
bagging.
Hello
Not
again.
asking
We
you
want
to
to
take it
follow up on
down.
a few points just to be crystal clear. This is the media from Facebook to Mr. Scully at the government saying, just wanted to make sure about the facts in this. And he's saying both A and B are correct, not a poll worker and no ballots destroyed. So they're actively feeding them information for Facebook, for their fact checker. The
Right.
government. Who trusts them? More, that's what all this is. In addition to CSIPs, I didn't highlight this, so I'm going to just hope that it was nothing. Oh yeah, what they're talking about here is their disclaimer. The disclaimer keeps changing, which is showing evidence that they understand what the criticisms are about what they're allowed to be doing.
Exactly. Because before it was changing like monthly. Every month it was something new. You had to accept the terms and conditions because there was a loophole somewhere.
That's why I didn't highlight this. Unsurprisingly, around this time, CISA began to follow up with social media platforms about posts the agency had flagged, as seen in the example below. To Twitter from the government, checking to see if there's anything that can be reshared in regards to this reported incident. So they're not just saying, hey, this is bad. They're going, did you take it down?
Yeah. Did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? Come on, do it.
The threat of law enforcement reprisal is amplified in the fact that the FBI would inform social media companies when CISA provided the FBI a misinformation report. The committee and subcommittee have obtained multiple documents that show the social media companies were aware that CISA was sharing the information with federal intelligence and law enforcement agencies, including the FBI. Elvis Chan, that's the FBI guy that I noticed in the Biden doc. I'm like, what? So that's the FBI. Two, who the fuck knows? Facebook folks. He's FBI talking to the Facebook folks saying, first, I got a tip from CISA that there is a Facebook page that is misleading voters about time. So not only are they government sharing their tips around to the rest of the government, now they're letting the Facebook folks know. And to call them folks,
Right. It's
that's
just a big circle. Everyone's doing everything.
misleading voters about time, place, and manner of voting, as well as trying to elicit Facebook user information. Please review and take steps. In other words, CISA's disclaimer, and okay, no, it doesn't matter. So why did CISA engage in this resource-intensive process of switchboarding, go through the trouble of writing and reviewing a disclaimer in hopes of sidestepping serious constitutional concerns and directly involve federal law enforcement and intelligence agencies? Because CISA wanted flagged content removed, and switchboarding provided an effective means to do so. During his deposition in Missouri v. Biden, senior CISA official Brian Soley admitted that CISA did, in fact, have an understanding that its reporting would lead to removal by the platforms.
Exactly.
That's it. Get the rope.
Guilt. That's guilt. That's case closed. We admitted that we did it, but I'm going to tell you all the reasons why we did it now. There's going to be the excuses.
Yeah, as if they're, no, that's it. Full stop, now we hang. This is the EIISAC. That's the Center for Internet Security is a nonprofit organization based in New York. The CISA operates look at how confusing this is.
All designed that way.
It's so annoying. It's not, I don't think they're trying to make this confusing. I just feel like when you talk about this shit, it's this confusing.
I think they
what
do it on purpose.
The people,
because then
you
the
mean, like,
average person won't look into it. They just see this word garble like I can't even read it. Like, you know how Kurt reads stuff and he can like skip all the bullshit just automatically.
But this is written by somebody who wants you to understand it.
Yeah, I think all the names and the acronyms, I think they do it. They make them so
That
crazy.
part, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So CISA, the CIS, the Center for Internet Security, is a nonprofit based in New York, which is established by CISA, DHS. It operates the Election
Non-profit.
Infrastructure
Who's
Information
paying for it?
Sharing and the ISAC, which funded along with multi-state. This is just it's an information sharing channel used by state and local election officials to report alleged misinformation and social media platform. That's all this is. All these freaking words to say the government's funding the government, who's funding the government, who
Right.
has this little place, an information sharing channel. That's what I said this before, these ISAC. This
Yes.
is multi-state and this is election infrastructure. Multi-state election infrastructure sharing portal. That's all it should say. All these words to say all of that.
Discord. federal
$27
government
million
Discord.
funded the budget 2024 is 27 mil. Go, get out.
No, don't
You're
kick him out.
fired. He's trying to leave, but then I go to open the door. This the second time. He's like, you come with me. No. Okay, so here we go. Can you see this?
Yes.
See how it works? These ones encompass those ones. This one encompasses those ones. And now there's this little buffer between government and government. These are both
Yeah.
government on either side.
They're all in the same train car.
Because they don't want you to know. I don't know what they don't want you to know because it's pretty fucking obvious on this end of things.
This is how they do plausible deniability in a courtroom.
Like switchboarding, the ISAC operated as an intermediary between state and local officials and the social media platforms, offering a centralized reporting mechanism in an effort to remove content from social media. For example, on November 2nd, 2020, a state election official submitted a report of alleged misinformation to the ISAC, which in turn forwarded the report to the relevant platform. According to the response, according to ISAC's response to the state official, the ISAC also shared the report with the CISA and with both CISA and EIP.
How fast do
sharing
you
with
think they were
government.
shutting this stuff down once they got the email or the call?
You know what? They're going to tell us that it's about an hour and that they're not happy with that, that's way too long.
But it went through all these different agencies and all these third parties that they're not talking to, and it's some fucking government don't work that good, baby.
But planning for a CISA misinformation reporting portal had hit a roadblock by May 2020, according to internal notes of a call between Facebook and DHS personnel regarding a misinformation reporting portal. Quote, DHS cannot openly endorse the portal, but has behind-the-scenes signaled that the National Association of Secretaries of State and the National Association of State Election Directors has told them it would be easier for many states to have one reporting channel. In other words, like off the record.
It's illegal, but do it anyway.
Yeah, we can't
Just go for it.
We can't make eye contact in public, but we could fuck.
We're the government. We're not going to charge you, so just go ahead and do it.
Less than 2 months later, the EIP would be established to serve that purpose. So we're on page 26. The whole point of how we got right here right now is to let you know that the DHS has created several agencies to launder their requests through to make them come out the other end looking like they're just
Peachy
flagged
clean.
reporting by some universities that have, no horse in the race. And later they're going to tell you that the EIP, this election integrity partnership, was created by 4 students in Stanford.
All funded by
kind of like
taxes.
Facebook. We've heard this
Right?
shit before, and it was
Right?
what they did with Facebook.
All funded by
That's why
tax
Mark
dollars.
Zuckerberg a clone. Okay. TLDR highlights. Okay, this is from Facebook to Facebook. Subject CIS. That's the government and the DHS call. This is just a follow-up on the call. Because, this is...
We got to
how you do it.
obey master.
These were the highlights from their meeting. Highlights. DHS cannot openly endorse the portal, and CIS is talking to Graphica. The reason this is important is because this is in May. CIS talking to Graphica. Graphica wouldn't become part of the EIS for months. So if CIS is talking to Graphica, they came on board through the government and not through Stanford's Internet Observatory, the SIO,
Yes.
which they're going to pretend that they did later.
Right.
These bastards. This is my favorite thing, is government receipts. These are just when they try to bring Facebook on Facebook, and I think when they do it with Twitter as well, they're gonna have a shitload of questions, and that's what that is. We just skipped them because it's irrelevant. Misinformation reporting portal discussion with Twitter. Welcome, Brian Scully. Or
The higher up you get in companies and government, the more you just, I wasn't aware. I didn't know. I didn't have any I wasn't aware. I don't know. I had no knowledge. That's, that I don't know.
and it's
And
funny because everybody on the ground level is going corporate. Corporate said, ask them, management.
right.
And corporate's like, we don't, we weren't even there.
And those people who fall in the corporate side are going to get great cushy government jobs or government contracts.
Page 30, we're doing all right. CISA did not distinguish foreign and domestic actors on social media. On February 2020, Brian Scully, that asshole, the head of CISA's Counter Foreign Intelligence Task Force, sent an email to Stanford's Renee DiResta, and I was going to make something up, but inviting her to a meeting housed by CISA Director Krebs to discuss disinformation in the 2020 election. Solely provided a list of agenda items in the email, including how should we think about domestic versus foreign interference, and how on any low-hanging fruit we can work with platforms on.
The plebs.
February 20th, Brian from the government reached out to Renee from the Stanford University to discuss the 2020 elections.
Not looking good.
Sounds great. Let me see if I can make the travel work. I don't suppose there's a way to participate remotely, because this is February 2020, and though the government hasn't told us about the pandemic yet, all signs lead to lockdown. The 2019 pandemic reinforced CISA's desire to make a more active role in surveillance and censorship on social media, which I'm really actually glad that we're doing this today. I have to go let my dog out here in a second, but they're going to switch this from whatever this is, this censorship of the election, to COVID, and it's called the...
Anything that doesn't suit the government narrative is now...
There's a word for it. There's like a... Ooh, I forgot it. We'll get there, but it's like virality or something like that. The Center for it's like where they take all their vaccine information and filter it. So even though they know it's right, they're having to filter it so that they can't show it to you, so that there's no vaccine hesitation. It's fucking bonkers.
The CDC, yeah. They're corrupt. They're just as corrupt in this whole thing from the top down.
Yeah. So earlier when we listened to that video, that man Schellenberger, he's talking about, or Schellenberg, I don't know his name. He's talking about Microsoft being involved. Here's them talking about Microsoft, but I gotta go let my dog out, so just give me a second. And I'm gonna get more coffee, and I probably have to pee. I'm so sorry, chat. I'm the worst host ever. Should I play Christmas music?
No, throw on anything but Chris. Here, I'll give you something. Anything but Christmas.
You said no. I was about to type it in too.
We just got 10 centimeters.
Okay, I got an idea. How about Christmas music parody? Because my favorite song is that ding, fries are done, ding, fries are done. You know what I'm talking about?
I hope not.
Oh my god, so good. Let me find it. Would you like it? Some apple pie with that?
Like,
would you like
Grandma
some apple pie
got
with
run
that?
over by a reindeer?
No,
you know
no, way better. This is gonna be way better. Except I don't know where to find Overwatch Christmas song parody.
Dick in a Box, a Christmas song?
Y'all know what's on his mind. You could have a dick in a box for Christmas. It's on your list, but I don't think it's
I
a
give
song.
the Christmas gifts.
Damn it. I don't know. Here's a Star Wars Christmas song, it says. I can't believe I can't find that one.
It doesn't exist.
Would
She
you
made it
like
up.
some apple pie with that?
Three people clapping at one point.
Was this awful? I knew I should have found that other one. I should have took more time.
The dead air
I don't know
probably
who
would have been
sings
better.
Listen, sorry guys, sorry about that. I am back. I did get my copy. I had to do an extra thing, so I'd like to write that on the list. I got my son juice. So I did 4 things.
Juice or fruit drink?
Oh, is this I don't know how to answer this. I think juice.
You've heard the Dave Chappelle skit about grape juice versus grape drink? You haven't heard that one?
Yeah, I actually have.
Yeah.
What is juice? Is that what he's doing?
Is he drinking juice or juice drink?
He's grape
Real
drink.
juice, I guess.
Okay,
Fresh
let's get back
squeeze.
to the Jira tickets. Sorry, I did that to y'all chat.
Scissor.
Luke and Leia were siblings and they did kiss.
Yes, they were singing
Gross.
about them kissing.
They were
and-
singing about it?
And then the crowd all cheered. I'm like, don't cheer for that. That's incest.
They cheered about him kissing?
Yeah.
Damn,
Progressives
man,
are all
Chad, I didn't
about
mean to groom you.
incest. That's their new thing now is incest and stepmom porn.
I mean,
Then
I
they
don't
go
think
to
stepmom
furries
porn
and all
is
those.
new.
And
Stepmom porn actually is the only incest porn that makes sense because y'all ain't blood.
yeah, I can hand. Yeah, that's not really incest then because you're not related.
Oh, okay. According to internal Microsoft notes from, did you hear my fucking dog? I wrapped him up in a blanket and I
nope.
put him in his kennel and he's like, knock, knock, knock. Bitch, that's not what I wanted. Those are your
Nope.
options. That's it. Hopefully he goes away. According to internal Microsoft notes from the call obtained by the committee pursuant to a subpoena to Microsoft, words, a lot of words for this, Krebs identified monitoring disinformation as Krebs one of 4 core lines of effort, asking how quickly we can work with social media organizations as well as state and local governments to clarify and combat misinformation.
I like how they can't even define what these things are. Define misinformation. Well, it's a multitude of things, and just define it like a woman. Define what a woman is. They can't.
Okay. Microsoft Confidential Report. Misinformation. No, monitoring disinformation. How quickly can I already read that? The best source of information is always your state and local officials. Always go there to make sure what you're seeing is accurate.
Zephyrs.
In case you didn't know what propaganda looked like. Oh, that's too dark. Damn it. I don't know how to unhighlight. That's my big problem.
Just try a different color. It might make it better.
No, it
yellow.
will definitely change the color. Red
To orange, and
and
then it'll be more
yellow
visible.
makes orange. Watch. Oh,
Nope,
I'm a liar.
wrong.
More. Here it goes. Here it goes. I feel like it's going. Is it not going? Okay, let's move on. In his testimony before the committee, Krebs stated unequivocally on multiple occasions that CISA did not treat content on social media differently based on its domestic or foreign origin, which makes him an asshole. Very un-American, and I'm sure there were tall enough bridges to handle this. Well, is he really tall or something?
That's the Cold War. I think the West lost the Cold War.
You know what sucks is that there's a part of me that like says that and then goes, hopefully I don't get in trouble for that.
Because you're eventually your kids are.
Yeah, probably. It's like North Korea where my neighbors are going to get in jail for my bullshit.
Right? No, your great grandkids, they do like 3 generations of prison or something. Can you imagine you're just born in prison? What they do
You
wrong?
know what?
Your
They say
grandfather
you
was a
can't.
dick.
They say you can't pass patriotism in your blood. I fucking disagree. My kids are patriotic as fuck,
Oh,
and
yeah.
their kids will
They're
be.
the ones
And
that
it's
live.
not in their blood, but it's in their blood. It's in their DNA of sorts.
The people, the non-patriotic people, were the ones who died.
I mean, no, a lot of patriots died. That's the thing. I don't like. That's what makes it important. We're so far away from our relatives actually dying for liberty that we don't understand what it costs.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Well,
That's
they
the
designed it that way. Just forget history. We can rewrite it because now everyone's racist.
I think we're like the same age. So does that make it weird or hot? Divinity is Divinity my stepmom? I mean, I don't know. Are we the same age?
29?
No, 29 means you think 42 is old, and that makes me actually want to throat punch you.
No, I thought all women stopped at 29.
Disregarding my actual age means I better say younger because she's already at the old.
No, I thought every woman stopped aging at 29. That was
Only
just like
the
their cap.
retards. And the blacks. Everybody else, we kept aging. We done hit the wall full speed. Okay, so question. This is Krebs, the director of CISA, who works directly for the Department of Homeland Security. It's a program in there. Testifying. Question. Was there an effort during this time to try to determine if the source was domestic or foreign? Answer. So, we certainly would look to the intelligence community if they made a determination on federal threat actor intelligence. But again, as these things pop up, like the hammer and scorecard, it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's foreign or domestic. Again, our authorities are rooted in the Homeland Security Act, which enables us to act on domestic or foreign threats. And again, they don't come waving a flag. This fucking guy.
That's some
Frebs.
word salad right there. That's to get you to fuck off, because the person asking the questions only gets like a 5-minute window to ask. So as long as he can drag out, he can cut your questions
No,
down to like 3
this
questions.
is the
instead of
first time
30.
he's succinct. He's very succinct. He's like, we would look for the intelligence community if we thought it was foreign, but like this hammer and scorecard narrative, it doesn't matter where it came from because the Homeland Security Act gave us permission to fuck with domestic actors. They don't come waving a flag. He should have added some salad to this because he said too much, in my opinion. He should have watered this down way further. That's why I
Well,
put a little
yeah.
fake arrow next to it.
Their IP
Because-
address in America would be the flag they're waving.
Well, no, because they decided that all of the information during the 2016 election was Russian bots, even though they know they ended up attributing that to like 13 individuals.
Right.
Get the fuck out of here. Like I would think they
13
know that
people
that's
took
bullshit.
down America, took down the American political system. Come on.
Well, what happened was during this, they started saying shit, or during the 2020 election season, they started saying shit like, these are bots. They were trying to ban real accounts. And
Oh, I've been called a
Facebook and
bot
Twitter,
1,000 times, man.
there was a hashtag for it, not a bot. There's a, when they were
Why
trying
weren't
to
the
shut,
Russians working for Clinton then? Why did they assume they were working for Trump? Because Clinton was the one that was over there pushing the fucking reset button with Russia. Let's reset and be friends again. Let's hug. Remember that?
yeah, what do you mean? Why weren't they working with Clinton?
So why wasn't the Russians working on behalf of Clinton to try to get Trump out? They just assumed Putin wanted Trump in, the guy who's going to run his mouth off and go to war with him first. Why would Putin help Trump? He should be helping Clinton.
Don't
so
you
why
know anything about the Red Scare 2.0? Trump is a dictator. That's why Putin wanted him in, so they could dictate, so they could rule the world together.
Oh, so they they thought Trump was just going to instantly turn communist.
He is a communist dictator. You just don't know anything.
But
You
no,
drink the
because
invisible
before
Kool-Aid.
that, they didn't want Trump. Their excuse was, we don't want Trump because he's going to start World War III with Russia.
Oh, with them.
So Putin would be like, yeah, I don't want that guy to win because he's going to start war with me.
But war is profitable, so maybe they both wanted war. I mean,
No, it's not profitable for Russia.
it is. Isn't it?
No, Russia got sanctions on them.
Oh, but it was really profitable for Ukraine.
What's left of Ukraine? You think any of that money donated from America actually went to Ukraine?
Okay, so it's not profitable for the people. I'm talking about it being profitable for the government.
Yeah, the dirty guys, yes. But that's what I mean. So if the Russians were trying to influence an election, they wouldn't have wanted Trump to win. They'd want Clinton to win.
No, Clinton is a puppet. Clinton is part of the deep state. They're tired of the I don't know. Listen, Putin wasn't fucking a part of that at all.
Because when Trump was in power, Putin
They
didn't
didn't
even
give a
try to
fuck.
go
They
into
just
Ukraine.
wanted election insecurity or some shit.
As soon as Trump left office, that's when Putin's like, okay, let's go invade now. The big guy's gone.
That's what I mean, though. The whole narrative was bullshit.
Right. That's what I
Okay.
say. All the
Okay.
I think the Russian people that they actually caught were actually helping Clinton. And then the Clinton campaign go, look, we found some Russian hackers, or they're helping. Like, I think they were all hired by the Clintons.
I don't know. First
Just
shot
like the
said,
Steele dossier.
I'm 44 and so much wiser. I stopped at 23, according to my dad. Russia oligarchs make money on war, indeed. What the fuck said Zelensky has a holding company for recently purchased luxury yachts.
Yeah. It's like the
It's
Biden
like Black Lives
Foundation,
Matter getting all their
Trudeau
homes. You're like, wait,
Foundation.
what the fuck? Okay, let's go. Up To and through the 2020 election, CISA considered its authority as extending to domestic speech, not just foreign information. Let me just say something to you, whoever's watching this right now, at an hour and 45 minutes. We're on page 35. If anything I said today, you're like, I don't see the big deal. Like, unsubscribe. You're not my people. This is a big fucking deal. This is something that means, like, it's God, family, country to me. This is a big fucking deal about our country. I'm not one of those people that's like, it's already gone, it's already gone. Not until I'm fucking gone. So I know that's like, okay, so then it's gone. But there are so many people who are not willing to just give up until our blood's in the streets. And
Right.
I don't think that, it just pisses me off. This shit pisses me off that they're just, doesn't matter if it's domestic speech, bucket. This is from
Because they'll never be
Robert.
held accountable. No one's ever, because that person's
No,
going to be
that's
gone
what they
from-
hope. I don't want to say those words because I want it to be, I want them to be held accountable. I want things to change.
Take the black pill, girl. Just take it. Jeffrey Epstein's proof the black pill's real.
Robert Shaw wrote this. This is a DHS guy. Thanks. Appreciate the assist. What is this? Hey, Rob. There was just, okay, so this is Robert from the DHS talking to
Can you
some
make
guy
that
at the
any bigger at
EIC.
all?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
So it says, hey, Rob, there was really just one RT article that attempted to amplify hashtag stop the steal. Here's the link. Otherwise, we haven't seen the accounts we monitor promote any of the more problematic narratives that are out there. I mean, Russia state media is doing what they do in terms of trashing the election, but nothing of specific concern. Obviously, what we're seeing domestically, particularly around mail-in fraud, is very concerning, but I know that's outside of your purview. I'll keep you in the loop if something pops up. And what does the government say back? Thanks, appreciate the assist. Mail fraud disinfo is inbounds for us this time, domestic or foreign. So if you see anything you're worried about, let us know, especially if our messaging can help counter.
Ignore the law and do as we request.
Yeah, I know you think that we can't do shit with domestic, but the rules have changed now. Don't you know who won 2020? Things is different, boy. It's November 4th. Shit has
Exactly.
changed. Actually, I think the election was in a few days. I think the election might have been on the 6th. I don't know. Either way, they knew what was happening. They had fortified. This is part
Right.
of the election fortification for the RECA. In early 2021, CISA dropped the misnomer of the Countering Foreign Intelligence Task Force to become the Mistis Malinformation Team. In spring 2023, following the Missouri v. Biden lawsuit, the Twitter files reporting, and the committee's investigation, CISA removed all references on its website to its MDM team. Oh, that its MDM team was censoring domestic speech. But what they do have here is this beautiful receipt from Matt. Matt's one of the DHS guys. To a bunch of his DHS what do they call
Wonder
them?
why
Not
they
fags,
redacted some people.
coworkers.
I'd like to know who those redacted people are too.
Well, the important part is that they're from the government. If you get caught up on their names, you'll go down rabbit holes that are fucking irrelevant. Government. That's the important part right there. Who cares who he sent it to? And it says, can any of you please explain to me what the heck MDM is? I leave for a month and we're renaming everything. Because guess
'Cause we
what?
need-
They're going to say that we were never about misinformation or disinformation. It's never been about that. Because they're going to lie. But here's one of the receipts that make it so they can't just lie. Creation of the EIP. Unable to proceed with its original plan, CISA enlisted Stanford to launder its censorship operation. July 8th, Stanford Internet Observatory Director Alex Stamos sent an email to Dr. Kate Starbird at the University of Washington Center on Informed Public, writing, quote, we are working on some election monitoring ideas with the government, and I would love your informal feedback before we go too far down this road. Things that should have been assembled a year ago are coming together quickly this week. Because they have an election. It's July 8th. There's no that's a hard date for an election. They can't they have to get
Washington
their censorship in.
Center for Informed Public Writing. Does that sound like word salad for propaganda?
That's what their place is called. That's what I'm saying. The UWCIP Center for Informed Public. If they tell you, no, this is just one of the wing or one of the organizations that's part of the Election Integrity Partnership, the EIP, which is the
Right.
term for the middle people between the government and the socials.
The Fall Guys, yes.
Yeah, and this is them. This is them. Okay, wrap your head around this. This is Stanford reaching out to the University of Washington saying, the government's talking to us, let's get together and see what you think. Even though later they're going to be like, nah, we thought of this. This has nothing to do with them.
Right,
This is,
right.
it started in Stanford. Bitch, what?
The government wants to do X, Y, and Z. Do you think we
What's
should do
this?
it this way?
The following day, on July 9, 2020, representatives from Stanford had a meeting with CISA, the government, to present the EIP concept. Among those in attendance were Brian Scully, the future head of CISA, their misdis and malinformation team, Jeff Hale, the director of CISA's Election Security Initiative, and Matt Masterson, the senior cybersecurity advisor at CISA. Government employees, all of them.
Right.
Which means we're paying them. We're literally paying them to censor
censor.
us.
Yep.
According to the email and invitation from the meeting, the Election Misinformation Project would later be rebranded as the more euphemistic Election Integrity Partnership. Here's their stupid picture. I looked at it. It's stupid. I promise. A subsequent summary of the July 9 kickoff meeting for CISA employees stated that, quote, I think we got good buy-in from both SIO, Stanford, and CISA, the government, on the proposal and its potential to improve the impact of both organizations this upcoming November. July will be
Improve the
big to
impact.
get things going. Huh?
Improve the impact, which means directly change the course of the election.
Yeah, exactly. July will be big to get things going on both the CISA and SIO front, so we will be sure to keep open lines of communication. Government and university. I should use a different color. Government.
Well, that worked
Really?
too.
Kinda. Shit, why did it change? Whatever's happening here.
Yeah, so they're admitting
Okay.
that we're gonna have a big effect on the outcome of this election.
Here's some proof if you didn't believe it. This whole thing is full of proof. It's just littered with receipts. That's what makes this 104 pages.
No, we just thought we were doing good. We were helping you. We're trying to solidify democracy for the free world, is what they're gonna say.
Yeah. EIP personnel, which is the election integrity place, including Alex Stamos, made clear in their outreach to social media platforms that the EIP's true purpose was to act as a censorship conduit for the federal government. For example, on August 4th, 2020, Stamos wrote in an email to a Nextdoor employee that the EIP was formed, quote, to provide a one-stop shop for local election officials, DHS, and voter protection organizations to report potential disinformation for the EIP, to investigate, and to refer to appropriate platforms, end quote. That's what this email says. In its post-election report, the EIP purports that the initial idea for the partnership came from 4 students at the Stanford Internet Observatory, funded to complete volunteer internships at CISA. The revisionist version of events, seemingly intended to distance CISA and senior SIO leadership from EIP's creation, is contradicted by evidence obtained by the committee.
I like to see
When
who
they
those
asked
kids'
Alex
names are.
Stamos who made it up, he said, I did. Say it again?
I like to see what the names of those 4 kids are and who their parents might be.
No, I don't even. They said students. They're probably not children. Like they're probably
No,
grown.
they're obviously adults, like 19, 20, but I like to know who their parents are.
Brian Koberger is a student and he's 28.
Yeah, that's what I
could
mean.
be-
Like, I'm not worried about their age. I just like to know
Who
who
cares about their parents are? Like, what does that have to do with it? What are you
because
know?
they're at a prestigious, very expensive university, and usually you have to have money or influence to get in there.
These are there for an internship. Supposedly, they were interning at the Stanford thing for the government. The government put them there.
Nepotism. You know how nepotism works.
Yeah, that's so FTX. His Sam Bankman-Friedman.
Yeah,
Both of his parents work at Stanford, and Stanford has to pay back millions for their investment and their fraud with the FTX scandal. They're just, you know who else is? That one bitch. Who was the one chick that had the fake, damn it. She was that, she made like some
Pink
way to
sauce?
like read DNA. Say it again?
Oh, the blood girl.
Yeah. She's from
The
Stanford too. She
Yes,
dropped
yeah.
out, but she's from there. You know who I'm
That was a
talking about.
massive government
The
fraud.
fake lady. She was all
Elizabeth
fake.
Holmes. Elizabeth Holmes.
Holmes, right. Good job.
Right.
Okay, finally, even the founding four partners of the EIP, such as that lab, understood in the summer 2020 that EIP was created at CISA's request. Graham Burke, one of the central figures involved in the EIP, understood in July of 2020 that the EIP was set up at the request of DHS. We just set up an election integrity partnership at the request of DHS, CISA, and are in weekly comms to debrief on disinfo. This is from Graham
It's basically
to
a new government agency for all intents and purposes.
they're nonprofits, so even better. They don't have to pay any taxes. They just get our money.
Yeah, right.
Yes. The EIP's purpose, using proxies to circumvent the First Amendment. By its own admission, the EIP was expressly created in consultation with CISA, the federal government, to serve an unconstitutional purpose as a mechanism for flaunting legal restrictions on illicit government activity, as stated in the EIP's post-election report. This is what they said. Yet, no government agency in the United States has the explicit mandate to monitor and correct election mis- and disinformation. This is especially true for the election disinformation that originates from within the United States, which would likely be excluded from law enforcement under the First Amendment and not appropriate for study by intelligence agencies restricted from operating inside the United States. As a result, during the 2020 election, local and state election officials who had a strong partner in CISA were without a clearinghouse for assessing mis- and disinformation targeting their voting operations. In consultation with CISA and other stakeholders, a coalition was assembled with like-minded partner institutions.
All the wokies.
Bum, bum, bum. It literally says it.
Yeah.
This is especially true for election disinformation that originates from within the U.S., which would likely be excluded from law enforcement action under the First Amendment and not appropriate for study by intel communities, agencies restricted from operating inside the U.S.
This is what China does to its own citizens. It monitors what they say. If it doesn't like it, it'll knock on the door and have a polite chat. Hey, just saw you were saying some stuff online that you don't like the government. You know, probably shouldn't do that anymore. Have a great day. Oh, here's a food coupon. Bye bye.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get disappeared.
In her notes for 2020, for a fall 2021 presentation at the annual CISA Summit, Renee, the research manager at Stanford, wrote as part of her presentation script that the gap the EIP was intended to fill had several components, one of which was unclear legal authorities regarding very real First Amendment questions. And this is her email. Her write-up
Can you zoom in
identified
a
the
little?
problem.
Perfect.
It kind of cuts off here, but it says, these are her notes to herself. The gap had several components. Federal government not prepared to identify and analyze election misinformation. There's no clear federal lead to coordinate it. Unclear legal authorities, including very real First Amendment questions.
And here's the black pill. This is obviously basic guilt. Like, this should be an easy case to prove. But even if Trump gets reelected, no one in his justice system is going to charge anybody with anything ever. They're just going to be like, well, we're in power now. Don't worry. It's not, that tool is not going to be misused ever again. And it's still going to be in place.
Yeah, but
all these organizations will stay there.
I don't think so. I think
they will.
something will happen.
I'm that black pill. I bet you after Trump's elected, they'll still be doing their thing.
So if Trump is elected, they crash the stock market, and we don't even think about this. We're so hungry and in food and bread lines, in my opinion. But if
that's when the next virus comes out.
If you look here, the The courts have already sided with this being against the First Amendment. The courts have already said, fuck you, White House, fuck you, DHS, fuck you, everyone involved.
No
And
one's
so they
been
had,
arrested. No one's being tried. No one's.
they are
Nobody.
being tried. Am I not showing you the appeal right now? That's October 3rd, 2023.
Who's
This
going
is
down
the
for it?
versus Joseph R. Biden Jr. These are White House people that, and Department of Human Services, that's Anthony Fauci's name. They haven't gone down yet. They appealed it. They're going to the Supreme Court. But the point is, the courts up until now have not sided with them. This is a First Amendment violation, clearly. And in this, if you look, did I highlight anything here?
Once Biden's out of office, they're going to say, this is mute. Don't need to root.
No, moot is the word, and no.
Moot, sorry, yeah. That's what they're going to say. That's all they're holding out for. They're just waiting, biding their time. Biden's gone. Fauci's gone. This is mute. Fuck off.
I didn't highlight anything here. What a fag. This must not be the one I looked at. But if you go through this, all of these same names that we're looking at are in this lawsuit. The CISA's in there. Sully in there.
How come you don't think people on the right wing are covering this very much? But doesn't
I
this
don't
justify
watch news,
all
so
their
I don't
guilt?
know that if they are or not. I just heard about it. I saw that Schellenberg guy talk about it. I was like, wait, what? This is new? And when I don't know actually how I got here, but when I realized that it just happened, I'm like, what the fuck? And then I didn't see the Biden case, that's like just ending. The appeal should just ended. So like, how did I not know about that the whole time?
Because they don't
I mean,
want you to know.
I don't pay enough attention. I don't think I mean, obviously I was watching ass source of news and seeing Twitter and really not giving a shit. So that doesn't mean it's not covered. I think maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention.
Yeah, I think if it's actually important, they never report on it in the mainstream media.
So I just did a CISA in that document. I just looked for I did a search.
Does it tell you how many times it pops up?
It pops up 29 times in 78 pages. It looks like a lot here. We're on page 61. Next, we examine CISA. We find that many of the same reasons the FBI and CDC, CISA also likely violated the First Amendment. First, CISA was the primary facilitator of the FBI's interactions with the social media platforms and worked in close coordination with the FBI to push the platforms to change their moderation policies to cover hack and leak content. Second, CISA's switchboarding operation, which in theory involves CISA merely relaying flagged social media posts from state and local election officials to platforms as, in reality, something more. CISA used its frequent interaction with social media platforms to push them to adopt more restrictive policies on censoring election-related speech, and CISA officials affirmatively told the platforms whether the content they had switchboarded was true or false. Thus, when the platform acted to censor CISA switchboarding content, they did not do so independently. Rather, the platform censorship decisions were made under policies that CISA had pressured them into adopting, and based on CISA's determination of the veracity of the flagged information, the CISA likely significantly encouraged the platform's content moderation discussions and decisions, and thereby violated the First Amendment.
So what's the maximum penalty for this? Like if they do go all the way, what's the maximum penalty someone's going to get?
It's a good question. You watch LawTube still, aren't they talking about this?
I haven't seen anyone talking about this.
Okay, so I just find it hopeful, I guess, that it
And
just didn't get shut
could
down
Biden
right away.
pardon himself on the way out?
I don't remember. They talked about that during Trump. I guess I would have to look at those and see what they thought, because I would say it applies. However, they applied the.
I think Biden's going to pardon Jesse Smollett on his way out.
Dude, that fucking guy. Okay, so it said that the appeals were like, no, dude, you got to serve your 6 months or whatever, right? Go back to jail. And in the end of the article, it said, so they're not sure like when he's going to turn himself in. I'm like, this fucking guy shouldn't he have been arrested immediately?
That fucking day, he should have been arrested. He's going to stuff his ass full of so many drugs and try and buy his safety.
He has so many cigarettes in his asshole right now.
He's going to have to do protective custody for the whole time.
A hard restart wouldn't be the worst thing to happen in 24.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty much black pill to the point where I think you got to burn it down and start again. There's no fixing a broken, when you have a used car, it's just so fucking bad, you're just gonna say fuck it, get a new one. I think
Yeah, but
that's
like if you're dealing with a 1999 Mustang and you're going to replace it with a fucking Mach E bullshit, you're going to replace with some shit you can't even work on. Let's stick with
no.
some
I don't.
shit
I
we
think
know.
even
I
if you
think we keep the
pull,
bones. We understand how to work on shit that's not computerized. Like bring back carburetors. Make carburetors great again in 2024.
if I won the lottery, I swear that's what I want to buy is a car with no electronics. That's my like dream, like a
Right?
DeLorean, something that
Yeah.
can't EMP me.
I don't think you could find flux capacitors though. That's just as hard to come by.
You'd be surprised what you can find out here in the woods.
Okay. In order to circumvent, it's cold in here all of a sudden. The spirits have shown up. Brr.
Oh,
In order to circumvent these very real First Amendment questions, organizations devoted to peddling the pseudoscience of disinformation, like the Stanford University, Washington's Center of whatever, were selected to serve as part of a central organization to support election officials, or CISA, in identifying and responding to disinformation. According to an early EIP presentation, this is so fucking interesting. Okay, current landscape. Who could potentially solve this problem, and why aren't they? We've got CISA here, platforms in the middle, and the universities at the end. Currently offer CISA offers that the platform, the ISAC, where they can get collaboration to provide real-time monitoring tools. The
yes.
platforms provide currently direct contact with Secretary of State as well as other cross-platform communications, and the universities offer independent groups and little coordination. So fucking nothing. Strengths: CISA, direct communication with every elector official, and the platforms, their strengths are highest monitoring capacity into what is happening in social, and the university's easiest politically transparent existing institutions, agile, lightweight teams. Weaknesses of a CISA: all efforts focused on hardware, no misinformation workstream, government entity, can't be seen as monitoring the electorate, highly political. Platform's weakness: they don't have access to elected officials, and the university's weakness is that they don't have access to elected officials. So
Why
the
would
platform's
platforms
weakness
not
and
have
the
access?
university weakness is what they get from the government is access to public officials.
Right. We need these 3 check boxes, and as long as we have 3 different organizations, we can check them all off. That way, each organization is only guilty of one little thing.
Oh, for Christ's sake, my joke just
Oh, we
went
got some
awry.
highlighting going on now.
I was gonna write hang here, and now suddenly I've highlighted everything. That was not a funny joke. Okay, it is axiomatic, the Supreme Court has explained, that the government, quote, may not induce, encourage, or promote private citizens to accomplish what it is constitutionally forbidden to accomplish, end quote. CISA's involvement in the creation of and collaboration with the EIP is the type of unconstitutional outsourcing against which the Supreme Court has long ruled. Censorship by proxy is an especially nefarious form of state action, given that it is designed to evade detection, oversight efforts, and public record requests.
And they did it right in front of your face. They told you they were doing it, and they made you pay for it. That's what I mean. You do it right in front of your face and no one pays attention.
It's a problem.
I don't understand how the Republican side of the government wasn't fucking stopping this in its tracks.
The Republican, well, I think the only reason this is happening, I don't know. I don't know how any of this stuff works.
Or do you think maybe the people in government were like, that's just a bunch of teenagers on YouTube. They're just making it all up. They're just exaggerating. Like,
I don't know. I got nothing. I don't think I highlighted
I think when they
any
started censoring like people like senators and congresswomen, like Green, I think that's when people like, hey, if they can censor them, maybe we should look into this. And now they finally got around to caring when it affected them, not when it affected all of American people, just when it affected them personally. They started to care.
Of course, that's the only time people care.
Right.
Okay. CISA's complete intertwinement with the EIP. CISA and the EIP were completely intertwined. I don't even think I don't think that's a question at this point.
Yeah, there's no separation at all. Like, it's impossible to have a separation.
Yeah. silly that I highlighted this, but you never know. After CISA helped to create the EIP, the federal agency remained thoroughly intertwined with their operations in the months preceding the election. Throughout the fall of 2020, officials coordinated extensively with them. Emails obtained by the committee and select committee pursuant to the subpoena showed clearly that the system was designed to operate as a unit, not as separate entities from DHS. Moreover, while there were many students involved in the EIP, which had nearly 100 people working for it, not including external stakeholders such as other government agencies, the EIP was led by well-known figures in the censorship industrial complex, such as Stanford. Oh, that just got highlighted on accident. My bad. The EIP also collaborated closely with senior CISA officials, included Brian Scully, head of CISA counterintelligence, foreign intelligence, whatever his job was.
Brian should be swinging right about now.
That's what I'm saying. He must be very tall because we don't have a bridge high enough to hang this motherfucker.
Has there anyone been tried for treason lately, like in a decade, 2 decades?
I
Because
don't know what treason actually is. Do these people qualify?
I think so. They're
Let me Google what
subverting the
treason is.
Constitution of the American people. That's
What's
more treason than that.
Well, I don't know what treason actually is, so I'm going to find out. What is
I
treason?
think there's more treason happening today than there has been in the last 100 years.
It says, this is just, let me
Can't say it.
go to Wiki. Treason is the crime of attacking a state authority to which one owes allegiance. Attacking?
You're attacking the Constitution of the United States of America, to
Okay,
which
so
you
this is
swore
treason.
fucking allegiance to uphold and obey.
If a state authority, which one? Yeah, I would say, based on the first sentence here, fucking hang him. I don't
Swing
think anyone's been executed since World War II. I don't think anyone's been executed for treason.
And I think that's
Treason-
why it's so rampant, because no one's being swung from a bridge for it. I think if you swung a couple people, everybody would think twice, like, hey, I'm not violating that Constitution after fucking Tommy swung. Fuck that.
Dorothy said treason is a high bar, but they're trying to hang Trump from it.
Yeah, they want Trump for treason too. Like, it's insane. You accuse the other person of what you yourself are guilty of.
What is treason? See reconstruction through the present.
Like, I think Jim Jordan,
So
Trey
let's
Gowdy, I think
ask.
they're great guys. They're smart guys. Like, they should be able to form a group in the government and just catch all the people for treason. And make an example. That could be like the American Revolution 2.0. We are rooting out treason from this nation. That's Elon Omar's. That's all of those people. Rashid Tlaib, whatever her name is. All
It
those treason
says
people.
this guy list of people convicted of treason. The last person.
Okay.
Oh, what the shit!
They got a picture of him.
They said the last person. Now
John Mitchell?
it wasn't. It was on a different page. The last person hung for treason was William Joyce in 1946. Hanging
not that
while
long ago.
quartering was the last treason trial was that of William Joyce, Lord
What did he do?
Haha, executed by hanging. Better known as British public.
Oh, he
To
was
the
probably
British
sending
public.
fucking letters to the British trying to like undermine you guys or something.
Says he was found to have betrayed his country by broadcasting anti-British propaganda on behalf of the Nazis and was executed for it. What's more anti-American than fucking shitting on the First
Censorship.
Amendment in the
Right,
Constitution?
exactly. That's fucking swing them, baby. We need to
Yeah,
come up with a
swing 'em.
swing meme. We need to come up with a meme for people for swinging. There's against the
You
wall.
do.
That's
I'm trying to
that'll
work on my ESG. I done fucked it up. All my searches from this weekend fucked everything up.
No,
I
the
gotta start
Chinese like
over.
people being hung for speaking out against the government.
He said, I don't think we can vote our way out of this, and I'm terrified that my baby boy might have to fight Ada.
That's what I'm
Pretty
saying,
sure if they
man.
had a path to it, all the J6. Okay, let's keep going.
That's why I got my insurance behind me. Right there. Guns, ammo, and traps. The world goes fucked, I can still survive.
Here. Okay. On September 11, Aaron Wilson emailed that, quote, the EIP, CISA, and CIS went through a detailed discussion of the workflow this afternoon. We feel ready to start promoting this to election officials as a way to report misinformation. Amy Maria from the government to the government. I hope you are both doing well. I want to let you know that we have the cybersecurity shits all set up. Workflow, what do you think is best way to approach election officials with the new option? So they want to let them know, like, this is where you go. It's funny because not a lot of election officials, not a lot of this is originating from like polling people or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's
anyone
most
that
of,
should have it.
yeah. Wait, I didn't look at any of this. More pictures that I didn't like.
Shows how they all have herpes.
This is definitely the herpes chain. Okay. This arrangement quickly bore fruit for the federal government's censorship and laundering operation. On September 17th, a CISA official emailed CIS, another government, Aaron Wilson and Ben Spear, writing, I'm forwarding you here one of the first substantive regional election misinfo tickets that the EIP has actioned that led to platform intervention. After EIP found this with their own monitoring and flagged the content to Twitter. Twitter took action almost immediately. Put plainly, the EIP reported back to the government that it had successfully induced big tech to censor Americans' political speech on behalf of
We
CISA.
killed them.
So we're in September 17th, and they're going, I'm forwarding you here one of the first substantive regional election misinfo tickets that the EIP has actioned that led to platform intervention. This is the first ticket that the EI found after the EIP found this with their own monitoring and flagged the Twitter content. They're so happy that the EIP has finally figured out how to tell on people and the government doesn't have to be like them and them and them. That guy, what about this guy? Have you fucked with this guy? And
Right.
this
They
dude.
just hired a bunch of progressives to be the judges.
2 months before the election, they finally got the system to not point fingers back to the government. It's not going to work. It actually doesn't work. They're just immortalizing it in the internet so we could see it.
What was that documentary? 3,000 Mules? That's what
I
they
didn't
wanted
see
censored
it, but yeah.
real bad. Oh, you didn't see that?
They talk about that here.
Crazy documentary. Wild documentary. You should watch it. It'll blackpill you even more.
Doubt. I know what it's about. I've heard all about it, what it's about. I just haven't seen the pictures of it, I guess.
Are like so obvious.
Some of the stuff that they're really adamant about censoring. So in a few, and they'll show the examples here, but in a few of them, the director himself, Krebs, comes out and like personally is emailing him. The first one he personally emails about is a Sonoma dumpster where they dumped a bunch of ballots in. And the other one that he personally emailed about and followed up with was he really wanted to know what was being done to stop the Hammer scorecard narrative.
Right.
And so that actually, I think, is how I got down the rabbit hole where I went this weekend, where I was like, wait a minute, I've heard Hammer before. And then I remembered that Julian Assange had put it was in the Vault 7 leak. And I was like, wait a minute, this is real. So I started going back. I'm like, this is from 2009. That at first, it's a lot. It was a lot. But in the 2020 election, they're like, this is just some new bullshit that they just started. This isn't new and it's not bullshit.
Right.
Unless you're new and you love the taste of bullshit, you might just eat that shit up.
Well, that's what I think it was Osama bin Laden said, like, we can't beat America military wise, so we just have to use their own system of government against them.
Yeah. CISA knew that flagging individual posts for removal would not be sufficient to achieve its goal of categorically censoring disfavored viewpoints, primarily conservative political speech. Instead, entire narratives needed to be targeted for censorship. Pursuant to multiple subpoenas, the committee and select committee obtained communications between CISA, the EIP, and other government, demonstrating that the true objective in flagging content to social media platforms was to censor entire narratives, not just specific flagged posts. However, this did not stop the EIP from identifying massive amounts of social media posts allegedly spreading misinformation, with some information reports containing over 500 individual links.
Someone's just going through their Twitter feed. Get this guy off. Get this guy. Everyone in the that meme them. Delete them. Delete them.
So everyone here already knew this happened, just for the record, right? the mules, but okay, there's no reason to actually watch it. None of this bullshit is new. It's kind of bullshit, though. This information is new. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't know that the EIP, the names of the organizations they were using, but no, none of it is new. The fact that the government's been censoring our speech is frustratingly old news. It's so frustrating.
But the government's not
Ev-
going to charge the government for breaking the government's own rules. So
No, we are they. We are they. It is their duty to throw off such go. We are they. We are the ones who it's our fucking duty to stop a government who does this bullshit. But we're not allowed to say that. It's
Right.
fucked. They're like, you know what? Forget the Second Amendment. Let them have their guns. If they don't have speech, they're more fucked than they thought. And we're like, we've got our guns. We're fine. Yeah, fuck you. We don't have our voices.
your gun's worthless if you
see.
can't use it. It's just a fucking paperweight.
No, I'm glad we have our guns, but the First Amendment is first because it matters more than the second one.
I think if we lived back in the days where you could punch your local politician in the mouth, it'd be all different around here. You watch old Parliament, they would cross the floor and start swinging fists when they lied about each other.
That's, yeah. PC culture done ruined everything. Evidence obtained by the committee also makes clear that the highest levels of government leadership, including Director Krebs, was aware of their programs, censorship programs. Here's an email from September 25th, 2020, from CIS, from the government to the government. Reveals that Twitter took action on its tweet. So this is the claim that thousands of ballots found in a dumpster in Sonoma from the government to the middleman. Hi all, bumping this. Twitter has now taken action on one of the tweets in this ticket. Evidently, Director Krebs personally reached out to Stamos asking what has happened around this event around the time the content was taken down, which was only an hour after the ticket was created. If this system is to work, we'll need the turnaround time to be much faster than sending these tickets out to states. For sending 1 hour wasn't fast enough
That's
to
crazy,
stop this.
right?
That's
They
fucking wild.
basically want their own button to delete.
So I am curious right here where it says the dumpsters in Sonoma. I don't really want to watch 2000 Mules, but I do kind of want to see.
I think if you just type
I know
in
they're lying. I'm
dumpsters
not
in
going to be
Sonoma,
surprised, but I love to see the receipts.
I
Say
think
it
if you
again.
just type in dumpsters in Sonoma and click images, they should pop
I'm
up.
not. Yeah, I'm not going to obviously do that right now, but I'm just
Oh,
saying.
first shot's right.
in
Yuri
general, I'm
Bezmenov
curious.
was correct. He warned America, told you guys what was going to happen. He was a Russian defector. Did you ever watch his
Says
interview?
I don't know what you're talking about. Say it again.
Yuri Bezmenov.
I heard that. What about him?
Have you ever watched his interview?
No, what about him? What did he
He
say?
was a
Who
Russian
he?
defector, and he told Americans
did.
exactly what we're going through right now was going to happen.
I did
He
see
just said
that.
it was mass accelerated. That he never expected you guys would go this fast.
I did. I do remember seeing that.
Yeah, first shot.
I actually don't think it wasn't that long ago that I saw it. But you know, when I was watching it, a part of me was like, "You're still a spy, this fucking guy." Wait till you find out. This is chat. Hideous said, "Wait till you find out the interesting news that nobody covered at all that happened a year ago. We don't have journalists. We have propagandists.
True.
You can thank Obama for that. Well, at least for the provision that allows the government to propagandize directly. That was all part of NDAA of 2022. You're right. Darth, yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Oh, there's clips of 20,000 moves all over the internet, 2,000 mules, related evidence. Chowder covered most of that. I'm just saying, I'm not going to go look at it now, but is particularly to the Sonoma thing, because they want it shut down is why I believe it.
Right. If it gets fact checked,
So-
I assume it's 100% true. As soon as I see a fact check
Mhm.
on it, I'm like, thanks for the fact check. You proved it's true. Thank you. Otherwise, I wouldn't pay attention to it.
Exactly. Overt coordination between CIA and this is just basically saying that everything's good to go. This call is to discuss how the process has gone so far and to nail down the relationship moving forward. Here are the JIRA tickets. The program that they're using is JIRA. So everything that gets flagged, they will have, I'm not sure if you noticed it, in some of these subjects on the emails, here it is, ERE EIP 243. This
Okay.
EIP 243 is the JIRA ticket number. I'm not sure if I'm
Ah,
saying that
gotcha.
correctly, but this system is what they're using. JIRA tickets. The collusion in practice, the coordinated flagging of posts. Pursuant to a subpoena, CISA has produced to this committee dozens of emails in which the government sent reports of misinformation from state and local election officials to both EIP, the middleman, and CISA, the government. CISA then switchboarded the reports to relevant social media platforms. CIS frequently included both CISA and the EIP on the same email chains, including CISA's Brian Scully, CISA's foreign information thing, and the EIP, which is the middle guy, the Stanford, the universities in the middle.
Right.
Plainly put, the federal government, CIS, and the universities were all on the same email chains discussing the censorship of American political speech. One of many examples is shown below. This is just an example, I suppose. We've got DHS, CISA. These are all. You just got to believe them at this point. We're on page 57. This shit is real.
So if there was a magic wand to be waved, how many people do you think should swing?
They say there's 100 people involved in this. We'll start with that.
Yeah,
CAS personnel.
I don't think the people like the bottom of these companies, I think they thought they were doing what was right at the time, but I think the people running these companies were the evil ones.
Nuremberg their
act-
asses. It doesn't fucking matter. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and you know it's wrong, and there's something in you that tells you it's wrong. And if you're not sure, then you should look into it before you abridge rights.
Lefties don't think that way. Lefties think with their emotions. They don't use.
Well, that's why they should have hung a lot sooner. Then they'd start at least considering
I
some
agree.
fucking other
That's
shit.
what they need. They need the visual indicator. That's what, like back in the day when they hung people from bridges and stuff, it wasn't to be a psychopath. It was to drive it home.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're the class. They're the faction that wants to get rid of personal responsibility, mostly consequences.
Right.
CISA personnel also solicited information about political speech on social media from employees of the platform. On the same day, November 10, Scully sent an email to 3 Facebook employees writing, Dr. Krebs is particularly concerned about the hammer and scorecard narrative that is making the rounds. Wants to see if you have been tracking this narrative and if there's anything you can share around amplification. In other words, why haven't you shut this down yet? What's going on? The director hates this.
Chop, chop.
Krebs is worried about Hammer. You know what's funny is that when I went down like a little rabbit hole, learning about the different programs that have been used. You know, one of them was Hammer. It was this, just like they say it was, a computer system that was used. There's a whistleblower who came out called Montgomery? No, that's not it. Do I have it here? There's it was Montgomery. Holy crap, I can't remember that.
I know Canada's using some Israeli technology against us. They bought it from Israel to use.
Either way, when I was reading about these code names, one of them was Hammer, HAMR, and another whistleblower came out with that. But in their code names, in this, the operating systems, the Department of State ones, another one was called Kraken. And it reminded me of Sidney Powell kept saying, release the Kraken. They were talking about the hammer and the scorecard and the Kraken at the same time. I was like, huh, I never saw a scorecard anywhere. It was probably either doesn't exist or written in a different way. You know what I mean? Somehow.
Hammer and sickle, yeah.
Yeah, but I did find it interesting that he was like, why haven't we shut this down? This is old. But I don't know. These emails directly contradicts claims that CISA had only a very little role, if none, in the EIP. To the contrary, CISA had real-time awareness of what was being submitted to EIP, what steps EIP was conducting, and what action the social media platforms were taking. And EIP and the social media platforms were aware of CISA's significant role. The State Department's direct partnership in EIP's censorship operation. The Global Engagement Center, GEC, is a multi-agency organization housed within the State Department. which Elon Musk has described as, quote, the worst offender in U.S. government censorship and media manipulation, end quote. The Global Engagement Center and their funded entities have, on multiple occasions, flagged content to social media platforms that included Americans engaging in constitutionally protected speech.
Right.
Unlike CISA's pretext of peripheral non-involvement, the EIP openly admitted that the GEC reported tickets to the EIP in its final report looking back at the 2020 election cycle. In fact, according to the report, the GEC was one of the most frequently tagged organizations in the JIRA system, meaning that the State Department was the one who tagged most of their things. The GEC
tattletales,
is
right.
State Department run. They were the most frequently tagged organization in the system. And they're not tagging themselves. They are tagged because they are the originator of the report. They're not the ones that are getting censored. That's fucking crazy to me. Ugh.
That's the black pill.
Unlike, I already read that. Other federal agencies involved with the EIP, the FBI, and the NSA. CISA was not the only government entity apprised of the EIP's activities. On June 23, 2023, the committee and select subcommittee conducted a transcribed interview of Alex Stamos, examining his CISA involvement in the EPA. During the interview, Stamos testified that the Stanford SIO briefed several other government agencies about the EIP, including the NSA, that's the National Security Agency, and Cyber Command. Stamos further testified that Federal Bureau of Investigation Special Agent Elvis Chan, who was the primary liaison between FBI and Silicon Valley and was involved in the suppression of news about information damaging to the Biden family, found on a laptop belonging to Hunter Biden.
Weird how they censored the Hunter Biden laptop just before the election, eh?
It's weird that they're still fucking fighting about this.
It only hurt one group of people, but it had to be censored from existence, even though the FBI knew it was true at the time because they had the laptop.
What they said the other day, when this Michael Schellenberg guy was talking to Congress, they said the one fucking guy in Congress was like, "Well, we don't know if the hard drive was manipulated." He's like, "What do you mean? Was there proof that it was manipulated?" He's like, "Well, there is proof, but on to the more important thing, blah blah blah." I'm like, no. There's nothing more important than if it was manipulated. You're a fucking liar. It's so frustrating to hear these guys.
And that's what I don't
okay,
understand. Like, how come they can't be instantly held accountable for lying under oath? Like, if you lie under oath, you're getting arrested and doing some time, but they can lie under oath and be like, "Well, I misspoke. What's the big deal?"
Wait, Darth Vader said, "Oh man, they brought John Stamos into this. Did I call him John? I didn't mean to.
No.
If I did, pretty sure his name is not that. His name is Alex. But if you picture John Stamos, Alex is probably stoked about it." Stamos testified. Which other official federal agencies did you brief? I did a briefing for General Nakasone with the director of NSA and Cyber Command. Did the FBI also receive briefings for the election? The FBI was part of that briefing. Boy, why didn't you say it?
Guilt right there.
Do you recall who said at the meeting? It was Elvis. Elvis and John Stamos are in this. It's getting weird. The SIO, that's the Stanford University, continued to provide the FBI with updates on the EIP throughout the 2020 election cycle. For example, on October 5, 2020, Alex Stamos sent an email to... Okay, Alex Stamos is from the CISA.
You can watch this interview on YouTube.
Huh?
This interview where they were asking questions, it's on YouTube.
You hear that, Chad? If you guys want to go watch this on YouTube, go ahead. But if you just want to stay on Rumble, just stick around. We're doing it too. Stamos, right now the Election Integrity Partnership is running 3 shifts each week. We don't have any good indication of foreign interference from our work, and most of the things we have spotted can be tied to domestic actors, Americans. So they know what they're doing. They don't give a fuck.
Right. They're untouchable.
The EIP's JIRA ticket, an encyclopedia of conservative censorship. An examination of the JIRA tickets themselves reveal a veritable who's who of prominent conservative voices targeted for censorship by CISA and the EIP. On March 17th, in response to increased media scrutiny of Stanford's activities, including select subcommittees' March 9 hearing on the Twitter files, the SIO published a blog post riddled with false statements about the EIP. For instance, it said that they did not target or discriminate against conservative social media accounts. While it is true that the EIP did flag non-conservative content to maintain a facade of neutrality, the EIP reports show a clear attempt to suppress conservative speech in particular. The EIP routinely flagged conservative content on social media under the guise that it was inappropriately delegitimizing election results, even in cases where the content was factually accurate. Criticism of the electoral system is constitutionally protected speech. A political system that allows a small minority of government-approved experts to exercise influence over the ability of other citizens to express concerns with the government represents a profound threat to our constitutional republic. Indiscriminately or improperly suppressing accusations of electoral fraud necessarily suppresses speech about real instances of electoral fraud, thereby allowing the government free rein to conduct the elections in a manner that is not accountable to the American people in a manner.
AKA
I fucked
China.
up that a little bit. Indiscriminately or improperly suppressing accusations of electoral fraud necessarily suppresses speech about real instances of electoral fraud.
Right.
That's why the
They
cure for
wouldn't let
bad
me.
speech is
Yeah.
more speech.
Right.
Bags.
Exactly.
So the
That's
American
why the
people can judge.
racists back in the 50s hated free speech, because it allowed the black people to voice their opinion and become equal, and that was civil rights. Can you imagine if they had the censorship back then where they could just censor all black people from talking, put them in jail for talking? Like crazy shit.
Cisa and desista. You can see yourself out now. We don't do that shit here. We don't get that weird. So, for the American people can judge for themselves, Appendix 2 of this report includes all of EIP and, oh, there it is, Virality Project. So, heads up, y'all. Virality Project is what is the new thing. That's what they, all of your, what was it? COVID and immunizations. All of that is getting fucked right here in the Virality Project. That's their new thing
Right.
to stop their new narratives.
The fact they can't call it what it is tells you they're doing something dirty. Like if they wanted, if it was COVID
Virality.
censorship, it would be the COVID censorship project, because everything would be honest and above board and you're doing the correct thing, but it's not.
No,
It's,
the next thing is going to be viral, but it won't be COVID, so they're going to leave their name real neutral, so it could be used on repeat. Letterheads are a son of a bitch. We're not going to rewrite all them for propaganda. Dropping the pretense of mis and disinformation, the EIP's absurd approach to classification. The EIP acknowledged in its report that it is not a fact-checking organization and that for some tickets, it was not possible to find an external fact check for the content, either because no fact checker had yet addressed the issue or because the information was resistant to simple verification.
it was true.
Unbelievably, the EIP also admitted that its analysis identified at least one external fact check source for approximately 42% of the in-scope tickets. In other words, EIP analysts were unable to identify a single external source to support its designation of a particular post or narrative as mis or
58% of the time
disinformation.
they just fucking said, fuck it, we don't like it.
58, is that what you said?
Yeah, 58% of the time they just
Yeah.
said, nope, don't like it, don't like it, don't like it, don't even have to try and fact check it. Just it's I'm a Trump turd, just get rid of it.
The general reliance of social media censors on fact checkers, many of whom have a distinctly liberal political bias, creates an environment that is hostile to free speech, especially conservative viewpoints, and is concerning in and of itself. However, the fact that the EIP could not even find a single fact checker, bias or not, before flagging content to social media in a majority of cases and was willing to publicly admit to that fact is indicative of a brazen and megalomaniac megalomaniacal approach to censorship. I hate this word. Why did they do that?
That was someone using the thesaurus with Chat GPT.
Hang that guy too. Matter of fact, 101. Get another rope.
Megalomaniacal. Evil person. That's just a big word for evil person.
Megalomaniacal.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a fun word, actually. Megalomaniacal when you say it
I
right.
heard it in some kid show. That's the only reason why I know.
It was probably for somebody that has a giant head. Huh?
Thundercats. It was in Thundercats.
Thundercat. Okay, for example, we're getting so close. We're at page 68. I'm very proud of us right now.
We're doing good. Still
example.
daylight here.
An example. An entry of the EIP 713, this is a Giro ticket, regarding a Gateway Pundit article submitted on the afternoon of Election Day, November 3rd. Oh, November 3rd was election. So that earlier when we said November 4th, and they were like, we don't care about it now. It was after election. That's why they didn't care about it. Okay, we are sending this to you quickly as we likely won't be able to figure out a fact check here. In EP 418, concerning a tweet from One American News Network, a contributor wrote, quote, "We have not seen a fact check on this story, but this story is targeted at discrediting the validity of vote by mail. It is reported that EIP claimed that its purpose was to identify and analyze mis and disinformation, which even CISA publicly defines as false information. However, the approach demonstrated in these and other tickets make clear that the EIP focus was not on the truth, but rather the advancement of viewpoint-based discrimination." This is where Reddit scores all the points, some of the points. Reddit and Rumble, they're refusing to play their fucking games. They're playing their games, but they're like, listen, we don't give a shit about your portal. Even in these limited cases in which the EIP was able to find external fact check, the fact checkers were often unsure themselves, admitted that the relevant claims were not false or subject to undeniable political bias. On November 3rd, 2020, Alex Stamos sent an email to a Reddit employee with the contents of a Giro ticket concerning irregularities at polling sites in Philadelphia, as Reddit refused to participate in the system directly.
Go fuck yourselves.
And so what they're basically, this was sent to multiple, can you see this? This was sent to multiple platforms on the same tweet by Newsmax columnist, shows a Democratic campaign flyer posted at a Northeast Philadelphia polling site. The content describes electioneering at polling places. So basically they're like, we know you're not in this. We know you've told us that you won't participate in this, but it's showing up on Reddit, so we really need this narrative to be gone.
Right.
These assholes. And Reddit's like, we'll see. Efforts to censor President Trump and his family. The most prominent conservative voice targeted by CISA and the EIP was none other than the sitting president of the United States, Donald Trump. Which,
Weird.
again, he is the president during this.
A little treasonous, isn't it?
On October 27, well, during the first round of this, on October 27, 2020, a local official reported a tweet from President Trump to their information tip line, which then forwarded the report to the EIP and CISA per its usual protocol. CISA then flagged the content to Twitter. To be clear, this evidence shows an unelected executive branch official flagging a statement from the elected leader of the executive branch for removal from one of the world's largest and most active public forums. CISA has not provided the committee any evidence that it contacted the White House prior to making the referral to opine on the veracity of the claims in the tweet. There's no limit. He's not on our team. He's got a target. And this is what it said: strongly trending Google, since immediately after the second debate is, can I change my vote? This refers to changing it to me. The answer in most states is yes, go do it. Most important election in your life. This is what they censored.
Right. Because people were going to go do it. So you got to censor that shit.
There's nothing bad here. And
yeah,
even if this is even if this never trended, even if it never trended, even if this wasn't true, even if you can't change your vote, like, you're allowed to say dumb shit, it turns out.
And it only had 175 likes. 1,000 likes.
1,000.
For Trump, that's not a lot.
Well, they probably shut it down. I wonder how long it was up before they throttled it.
And he put it out at 3:30 a.m.
Yeah, he on drugs. Look at all these pages we get to skip.
See?
Bye, pages. If you guys care about this, I will link it. You should care, but I am not passing anything. It's all important, but it's all very repetitive. They're wanting to show you over and over and over that these names were repeatedly engaging in all of this stuff.
Yeah, there's Marjorie Taylor Greene. I spoke about her earlier. You don't have to go back to it. I just saw her name there.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, right.
This is even humor and satire. He said, "Stood in the rain for an hour to vote early. Then I got home. When I got home, I filled in my stack of mail-in ballots and then voted the ballots of my deceased parents and grandparents. They vote just like me." They censored Mike Huckabee's tweet. They censored this.
Right. Because that's what the Democrats were actually doing. They were actually filing dead people votes. I think it was New York had 10,000 dead people vote.
What? I can't draw on this picture? You guys are censoring me. Oh, here we go.
There you go.
You can't see it because he's already red. This is what we used to do when we was kids.
Like the fact checkers, the number one fact checker they were relying on was Snopes, and Snopes fact checked that Obama didn't spy on Trump. It was mostly false.
Because he personally wasn't there or what?
I put it in the Rumble chat for anybody who wants to look at it.
Okay. Oh, this is another one they censored. Wow, they found boxes of emergency Democrat votes this morning. How convenient. These boxes literally say emergency Democrat votes.
Yeah.
This is a joke.
And it's
Emergency
obviously like,
Democrat.
yeah, it's obviously computer generated fake.
They censored this. Okay. They censored this
Memes.
because people are too stupid that they thought if you see this, you will think it's real. Don't you think
Well,
that's a
even
good thing?
joking
Because then
about
they're
it
going to
gives it
repeat it and
legitimacy.
people around them will know they're idiots.
Because even joking about it gives it some legitimacy. Like Rakeda being bisexual.
What? You think he's really the gay?
Oh, I think he's real gay.
Do you think that... Okay, never mind. That's a different show.
Yes.
What do you mean by... Where are we? EIP's coercive tactics. Question. What do you mean by... Let me find out who they're talking to here. In addition to having explicit and implicit backing of the government, the EIP had another tool in its disposal to pressure social media companies to comply with the censorship request in media. In his testimony, this is Alex Stamos, the SIO director and former chief security officer at Facebook, explains how the social media companies felt pressure from public criticism about the failure to remove content that experts had labeled as misinformation. He testified. Question. What do you mean by communications moment? Answer. So if we wrote a blog spot that said, this is something viral that's happening that's not true, you very well could find members of the media going out and then finding the content on 5 different platforms and then writing about it being up or not. Question. And if it was still up, would some of those media publications be criticisms of the platforms? It's possible. Similarly, Dr. Kate Starbird of University of Washington and one of the central figures in the EIP operation testified about using her platform to publicly push social media platforms to change their policies. She testified. Was the purpose of the public communications to have Twitter change its policy? It was for me. Again, this is not like within the EIP brand. This is sort of something that we are just kind of doing that eventually we started working together. But this is just something that I do a lot, which is put out analysis and have recommendations for platforms at the end of that analysis. This is just her saying, I'm a fucking nobody. Like, this isn't their job. I'm just progressive as shit and wanted
Right.
I mean, if you can, why wouldn't you? I think is what she's trying to say. I rarely recommend a specific action. I wish I didn't get to say any of this. I wish I had something better to say, but most of the time I just point out problems and don't tell them how to fix them. And I understand that the fixes for the problems are very tricky and very hard, so I give them credit for that. But I did a lot of pointing out this is a problem.
It's the Nick Rakeda excuse.
Mm-hmm. If they did
I don't tell people to take nothing down. I've never asked someone to take it down, but it's the perfect Nick Rakeda excuse right there.
Yeah. In the fall of 2020, the EIP also worked on preparing work product summarizing the major social media platforms' content moderation policies and the differences among them. The EIP initially gave Alphabet, the parent company of YouTube and Google, an opportunity to comment on YouTube's content moderation policies. As an email chain below demonstrates, Alphabet was keenly aware that the EIP may engage the press. In particular, the company wanted to ensure that the EIP would not publish inaccuracies or mischaracterizations that would suggest the company's policies were insufficient in removing election-related content labeled as misinformation.
Media Matters.
All they fucking care about
right now.
Yep.
This is exactly Media Matters. This is Elon's case right there.
It's Elon's case. It's the state of Missouri's case against the United States, the White House in particular, and the federal government, I guess. It's crazy.
And small
Stan-
YouTubers, right? Go after their money. We won't censor their free speech. We'll let them say shit. We're just going to take their money away until they realize how to talk correctly.
And just because they weren't banned or removed, the act of shadow banning, what Elon says, and this is his problem, and that's what he gets, is that he said freedom of reach. So on one
He's
hand,
still
he's like,
shadow
censorship is bad. On the other hand, he's like, when I'm not doing it,
Right.
fuck you. The act of throttling back is the same thing as is censoring speech. It's the exact same thing, and he's not okay with it because it's happening to him, but he's also okay with it because he wants to do it. Fuck you.
Right.
I mean, not fuck you, but like, go fuck yourself. On September, deceitful public statements about the EIP's flagging a post. On March 17, 2023, following the Select Committee's March 9 hearing on the Twitter files, the schools published a blog post titled Background on the Stanford Internet Observatory's project on social media, in which they sought to downplay the extent of their censorship and surveillance, claiming that both the EIP and its successor, the Virality Project, are nonpartisan research coalitions that operate in an open, transparent, and public manner. On March 20, the SIO's council sent a link to the blog post to committee staff, writing, "Here's the statement Stanford put up on Friday, attempting to correct some of the myths floating around in the press." In addition to its mendacious, I don't know what this word means.
Mendacious.
How do I? Hold on.
Mendacious.
Let's define it. Mendacious, not telling the truth or
Yeah,
lying.
dirty.
Okay.
Like mischievous. But
This guy, another rope, 102. In addition to its mendacious framing of the EIP's activities and CISA's involvement therein, the post contains statements that are categorically untrue. Most notably, the SIO falsely claims that in the post that EIP informed Twitter and other social media platforms when certain social media posts violated each platform's own policies, and that EIP did not make recommendations to the platform about what actions they should take. That's important.
here's the reason. Here's the tool to use. Now use it.
EIP did not make recommendations to the platform about what actions they should take.
I don't think
They're only telling you that because they're about to show you at least 75 receipts of the exact opposite of that. Oh yeah, here it goes. Documents produced to the committee and subcommittee by both the SIO and other entities contain numerous examples of the EIP analysis and staff making explicit recommendations to the platform for specific enforcement measures. Appendix 1 compiles recommendations from 75 different JIRA tickets Stanford produced, in which the EIP made a direct recommendations to platforms on which actions they should take.
You're not taking it down fast enough was a recommendation.
Below are a few examples. Here's one. The article is being shared on platforms. We recommend labeling it. This has circulated in conservative groups and subcommittees. We recommend that you all flag as false or remove. Hi, Facebook, Reddit, and Twitter. We recommend it be removed. Hi, Twitter, please. We'd recommend labeling information. We recommend
It's even worse.
Huckabee has not said whether the tweet was a joke or not about his fucking dead relatives voting.
Voting, yes.
We need another rope for whoever wrote Ticket 460. That guy's an asshole.
I bet you it's going to be like Adam Schiff and Pelosi's and their staffers.
At the end of this, I went through and highlighted quickly some of all 75 of them are at the end of this. That was just a little snippet. We'll get there. Numerous documents containing witness testimony regarding CISA's involvement with the EIP. Remember, CISA is the federal government. That's my tax dollars at work. The committee and select subcommittee have conducted transcribed interviews of several witnesses involved in the EIP who have claimed that CISA had little to no involvement in the EIP. The testimony is contradicted by the overwhelming amount of evidence obtained by the committee pursuant to several subpoenas issued to entities involved with their EIP. For example, Alex Stamos, the head of the EIP, claimed that CISA's role in the EIP was limited to introducing the EIP to the ISAC, the forum that they report on. So, question. So, you have contacted CISA. CISA introduced you to ISAC, and we are still on summer of 2020, to the best of your recollection. Okay. What role did CISA play, if any, after that? In the EIP, they had no official role. They did not have the ability to report things directly to us. We would take things from the ISAC. I don't believe anything that ISAC sent us came from CISA employees themselves. And they were not part of our day-to-day operations or our analysis. So they had very little role,
Right.
if none, in EIP. If none. Oh, you're supposed to say if any. They had very little role, if none, in EIP.
It wasn't me. It was that other person in the next trailer over. So I didn't know that the trailer between us was getting letters from the trailer but next to him and giving them to me. That's their plausible deniability. I'm blind. I don't look at anything but the piece of paper given before me, even though it says that person's name 75 times there. I've never looked at that.
Hideous said, I'm afraid first one shot said, I'm afraid Americans don't care. Hideous said most of them. And to the extent that they care, they don't care enough to actually do anything. That's okay. Their new push is to require digital ID before you can even log into the internet. And they want to legislate that now.
Oh yeah, facial
know that?
recognition, your retina scan.
And that's why they do that shit to get into your phone to get you used to it, huh?
Right.
Ugh.
Slow boil the frog.
Okay. Dr. Kate Starbird of CIP, one of the founding members of EIP, recalled more involvement from CISA. This one sentence right here makes me, I don't care. Never mind. Forget it. Too many acronyms. And I know what they mean. Sucks. What is your understanding that some of the external partners were government agencies? It was my understanding that there was a federal government agency and that there were other organizations that convened local and state election officials who my understanding is that we could help them and they could help us figure out what the ground truth was around election processes and procedures. And so that would be an important part of collaboration when you're trying to address that kind of misinformation. And which federal agencies was the one that you were referencing? The federal agency, that's kind of who it was, the CISA agency. Yeah, I'll be right. I got to be back. So
No worries.
You read this. How about that? Can you see
All right.
this?
Yep. What do we got? All right. And which federal agency was that one you were referencing? The federal agency is kind of who was the CISA agency. Yeah. So what's going on here is they're just playing the dumb card. Like, I don't know who was bringing me stuff. Like, that's what I mean. The higher up you get, the dumber you can play. Okay. Regarding the creation of the EIP, former CISA's director Keebs, whatever his name is, testified that the IP establishment was independent of CISA, which is directly contradicted by the documents from the summer of 2020. And the Atlantic Council, one of the members of the EIPA, understood that EIPA was created at the request of CISA. So CISA was created. CISA requested that they be created, the IP be created. But then they're trying to say we have no connection to them at all. Even though it's like saying I gave birth to this child, but I have no connection to that child. Is independent of me. He's his own person. Yeah, that's how stupid this is. The testimony of Stamos and Krebs regarding the extent of CISA's involvement in the creation of the Operation IP is contradicted by the overwhelming amount of evidence obtained by the committee and the subcommittee, which makes it abundantly clear that not only was CISA directly involved with the creation of IP, gave birth to IP, but also took advantage an active role in IP's day-to-day operations. So they even raise little IP up by themselves like their child, but they have no connection to that independent entity. Receiving a constant stream of tips and other information from CISA and the CISA funds at CIS.
Good job. Did anything happen here
that
I need to know?
They gave birth to IP. CISA gave birth to IP, and IP is their child, but their CISA is now saying, I don't want anything to do with that child. That child is independent. He's got his own social insurance number now. He's not my responsibility.
Yep.
But he lives in my house. I give him a bath, and I have to make him brush his teeth every night.
He got my DNA, but like, I don't
claim
him.
That's how close this analogy is for people that want to really understand how dirty the government is. Black pill.
Look, the Honorable Jim Jordan.
I like.
I didn't
Jim.
highlight that. That means it's not important.
I like Jim. I just don't think he's doing enough work.
His hands are tied. That poor Jim. I don't know him.
Like
And
if Trump
email
gets in, he should give Jim and Trey Gowdy like the power keys. To
Isn't
do
Trey
whatever.
Gowdy like gone for a while? Hasn't he been gone for a while?
Is he? I thought he was just stepping out of like the light.
I haven't
didn't-
even heard. Okay, let's look.
I really like Trey.
I'm gonna look real quick. Yeah, but I haven't. I haven't even seen him.
No, I haven't either. He's off
Around.
because I used to watch his YouTube all
Well,
the
you
time.
gotta fucking show up if you're in the government, or else you're not.
Or is he
Allegedly.
in some committee where he's not even allowed to talk about it?
No,
You know, the
let's
backdoor
not.
committees? Because if he's
Where
in one
is
of
Trey
those,
Gowdy?
he can't have a YouTube. Or he retired.
I'm pretty sure he retired. That's what I was trying to say. Trey Gowdy had an accident, health problems.
And Trump should hire him as like his attorney general. And he could clean house of all these George Soros prosecutors real quick.
I don't know where he is now. Representative Trey Gowdy, Republican from South Carolina. That was written in 2019, so I guess he could still be there. Let's look. Let's just go to his wiki. I've been resistant because you always make fun of me for going here, but this ought to tell us what he's doing.
He's no.
In office. So he's not in office anymore, I guess.
If it would should say retired, wouldn't? Yeah, 2019. Maybe he is at a. Maybe he did
No.
retire.
Well, I don't think you
59.
retire. You're just, your term ends. You know?
I wonder if they got some dirt on him and he just had to disappear from the radar.
Yeah, you think he was tired of fucking spitting into the wind.
Black-pilled. He got black-pilled. Join the club, bud.
Yeah, once you go black, you know what they say.
Easy.
You turn into Nova.
Easy. This
Okay,
is not a rookie
an email
industry.
exchange from November 3rd between Alex and Reddit further suggests that CISA had some form
Oh,
of
he's on
access
Fox
to the Jira
News.
system. Is that what he does now?
Buck System in chat.
My
is like,
shock.
he's on Fox News.
It would be great if we could get somebody from Reddit on the Jira, just like Facebook, Google, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, CISA, ESAC. This is them saying
Right.
that they are on it.
Who owns Reddit? They must be based.
Doubt. Next to fucking doubt. Let me ask the internet. Who owns Reddit?
Because everyone else.
Advanced
fucking
Publications. Since 2018, Reddit has been owned and operated entirely by Advanced Publications. The current CEO is Steve Huffman, who co-founded the platform in 2005.
Go Steve. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
he didn't bend the knee.
he probably can't join this fucking squeal team because he's on a different squeal team or something. I don't know. Squeal team 7.
I don't know. I get some my pay-per-view fights all from Reddit. All my sports that I watch
I do,
illegally
and
from Reddit.
if I want to find something,
You're not supposed to find.
or that's not like, you can't go to Google. That's all the shit they want you to find. Reddit will give you
Right.
the shit that would have taken you 2, 3, or 4 hours to search Google for to find like the good shit. Somebody's like, here, I did the search for you, and then you can kind
Yes.
of go from there. It gives them
Yes.
more like closer to the source jumping off point than what the real media would.
They're
try
what?
to
Yeah,
get
they're
you.
what Google was before they started changing the algorithm.
Did you just say Reddit and based in the same sentence? You fucking moron. He
Yes, I
talking to
did.
you.
Yes, I did.
The JIRA data produced to the committee contains a number of cells in which CISA is mentioned, including in contexts that prove close coordination between CISA and the EIP. For example, ticket 315 contains an entry which reads, quote, the information was posted on an app that is not a primary social media platform. CISA is looking into how to handle this type of reporting. This was posted on an app that is not primary.
I wonder if it's
Not
not
a
on the stock
primary.
exchange.
What?
Publicly shared.
No.
Facebook, Twitter was all publicly traded stock. I wonder if Reddit's not a publicly traded stock. Then it wouldn't be a primary social media platform that could be,
No, it's posted. It's probably posted. They could be referring to Reddit not being primarily social media, because it's not, but this has nothing to do with publicly traded or not. I'm 100% certain on that.
Okay.
On July 27, more than a month after Stamos' interview, Stanford's counsel finally. Oh, it's already afternoon. I didn't know that. Holy shit, we've been going for 3 hours.
We're
We're almost
there.
done. We're going
I
to
still got
probably
daylight.
finish with this, and I might just come back later. If I can wrangle one of my homies to come back in later and do this with me, we might just keep going later, but I will have to take a break and do some life for a few hours.
Yeah, do IRL.
On September 27, more than a month after his interview, counsel finally admitted in a letter to the committee that CISA was in fact involved in the JIRA system and that the government had been directly tagged on a number of tickets. They got egg on their face.
Yeah. My kid
Epilogue.
is sending me letters to delete you.
It is no surprise that Stanford University attempted to refuse to turn over documents responsive to the committee subpoena. They reveal that the EIP was not a nonpartisan school project comprised of students and researchers interested in combating misinformation online. Instead, from start to finish, the EIP operation worked directly with the federal government and disproportionately targeted conservative-oriented speech. After the 2020 election, what others have deemed the censorship industrial complex played out as expected. After President Trump fired CISA Director Chris Krebs on November 2020, Mr. Krebs created the Krebs-Stamos Group with Alex Stamos, the head of the EIP and the CSIO, in January 2021. Let me read that again. After Trump fired Krebs created the group, a group with him, Alex, him and Alex. Okay, Matt
It's like a shadow
Masterson
government.
left CISA. It's like saying Gowdy went to Fox. They just fucking shuffle people around. They want to say the right thing.
Right.
Matt Masterson left CISA at the end of 2020 and took a position as a non-research fellow with Stanford, working with SIO and its virality project, because the misinformation keeps going. With the election over and the American people questioning the wisdom of lockdowns and the safety of COVID-19 vaccines, the EIP reconstituted itself as the Virality Project. Again, working with the federal government, the ISO launched the Virality Project as a global study aimed at understanding the disinformation dynamics specific to the COVID-19 crisis. The Virality Project, again, used JIRA tickets. Though Stanford was less explicit and specific in its recommendations for censorship, as it was under the EIP model, social media platforms still dutifully removed content flagged by Stanford.
I haven't heard of any
Here's one.
terrorism they've prevented or stopped, or any homeland security things they've stopped or saved.
That's not what happened. Hi, Bert. I'm reaching out to share this video of the Stanford Virality Project sent us. It pertains, I haven't read this. It pertains to a Utah teenager was hospitalized for blood clots after receiving a vaccine injection. While this, in and of itself, does not strike me as likely violating policy, the following quote in the video might. At 2:12, quote, "He will never be the same. He'll be on blood thinners for life at best because of this spike protein carried by a simple coronavirus. It's the spike protein that's the problem, and they put the spike protein in all of these jabs, okay? And they will do damage for a very long time, and I'm not quoting myself. I have 2,000 hours of research in this. Hard to parse name has documented 20 mechanisms of actions by which this spike protein will damage and kill humans, millions of them. This will make Joseph Mengele of the Hitler administration roll in his grave wishing he had access to this bioweapon that we're dealing with." Joseph
That's the whole
Mengele.
point.
This is why they flag this, because they, I guess I've seen them flag worse.
Assholes. Okay, this can't be good. This all right. This one we gotta read.
Away last night.
We gotta read this one. Let's see what the asshole said.
Oh, what did this asshole? Upon review and calibration, we've struck the video for violating our medical misinformation claims that COVID vaccines will kill people who receive them. Please let us know if you have any further questions. Yeah, they struck it. That's why I call them assholes.
Right. Because it was killing people. There was video upon video of people like fucking twitching out like within an hour getting injected.
So this is the last line. Damage and kill humans, millions of them. It's one, two, possibly 5 words. 2 to 5 words. You shouldn't have said that. Like the EIP, Stanford's virality project continued to flag content directly to social media platforms, including true content by elected officials, such as the tweet below by Congressman Massey. In reference to this tweet, the Virality Project ticket stated, "Dear Facebook and Twitter teams, please note that this Israeli narrative claiming that COVID-19 immunity is equivalent to vaccination immunity with the following URLs. Before flagging Congressman Massey, before flagging the tweet among other Facebook and Twitter links. Please note this Israeli narrative claiming that COVID-19 immunity is equivalent to vaccination immunity. Isn't that true?
Yes, it's 100. That's the study. It was an Israeli medical study.
If not better?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
But we got to censor that.
This is what was censored. A comprehensive study that tracked the COVID complications.
And it linked the fucking study.
And it linked the study. In order for this not to, in order to cover yourself about giving false information, you have to show, how you got there. Not you have to, but that is one way to safeguard yourself.
It can be completely true, but if it goes against the narrative, then it's disinformation. It's misinformation if it goes against the narrative.
Wow. Although data shows that severe COVID-19 in children is rare, widespread vaccinations is a critical tool to help stop transmission. That's why I'm excited to have begun dosing participants aged 5 to 11 in global phase 2 third study of the Pfizer biotech
study. Guinea pigging kids. This bitch was guinea pigging children who were immune to it.
If the data show the vaccine is likely to harm young children more than the virus is likely to harm young children. Giving children the vaccine as a sacrifice to save older adults is immoral and reprehensible. That's what I said. When I was reading the myocarditis, when they said that the younger boys were getting it, they literally said in their paper that the complications from the vaccine outweigh the complications from myocarditis in the moment. But eventually, as COVID comes down in the environment, then the risk switches. And now suddenly, if there's not a lot of COVID, then the risk of myocarditis is no longer worth it. I'm like, what the fuck? Who cares about the public when you're talking about my kid, my person?
It was never worth it. Kids were immune to COVID.
I say it's never worth it, but that is their logic that they wrote down and shuffled out to the public to read. It's crazy.
And they knew it was false when they did it.
Yeah. After President Biden was inaugurated in January 2021, the government censorship regime ramped up. At CISA, the foreign team dropped any pretense of a foreign focus and relabeled itself as the MDM team that would focus on foreign and domestic speech that the government considered dis or malinformation. Throughout 2021, the Biden White House engaged in a pressure campaign against Facebook and other social media companies to censor anti-vaccine content, even if it was true. By 2022, CISA invited Dr. Starbird, then Twitter executive Vijay, and others to form an advisory MDMA.
Who the fuck is Vijay to be anybody to ask questions to control your speech?
With a name like Vijay, I feel like he's always going to be right.
She is an Indian.
That's a guy? I mean, a girl?
That's a girl, yeah.
Her name is Vijay and she's a girl? That sucks.
And a stuck-up one, too.
It's a guy's name. Oh, my bad, lady. It's ma'am. Consulted with CISA about how the agency would and should combat American speech that the government considered to be dis, and malinformation. DHS created and then disbanded after public outcry the short-lived Disinformation Governance Board. That's what you were talking about earlier.
Right.
I think.
So they kicked Robert Malone, the guy who invented the mRNA technology that they were injecting people with because he didn't know anything about the technology he created.
Do you guys follow Eric Abernathy on Twitter? Abernathy?
I don't know that name myself.
I don't think so. I don't. I know I don't. I don't. They're having a little conversation. I don't think I can jump into it right now. I'm trying to get to the end of this. But by 2023, as Republicans retook the majority in the House of Representatives and initiated oversight of the censorship industrial complex, CISA scrubbed its website of references to domestic censorship. The committee and select subcommittees obtained and revealed how Facebook changed its policies because of pressure from the Biden administration. Internal Facebook documents show that the Biden White House in particular, wanted true information and satire censored at a rate even big tech found objectionable. Based on the committees and subcommittees' work, even the mainstream media could no longer ignore these constitutional violations. The plaintiffs in Missouri v. Biden have obtained significant victories before a federal district court and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, and now will have their case heard by the Supreme Court. Public reporting shows that universities are reconsidering whether to permit their professors to receive funding and engagement in censorship work.
I think
Well, they
Stanford
gotta
should
shut
be
yourself up.
banned from any federal money ever again in the future for life,
Yeah.
or any of the
That
other
part.
Ivy League schools that participated in this shit.
Yep. So we're done. They're going to show us a bunch of the tickets. These are the at least 75 occasions in which in 4 months that led up
We
to the
recommend this
2020
be
election where
removed.
they specifically asked this one, hi Facebook, we recommend removing from platforms. 2 posts alleging problems with voting machines, we recommend labeling. Pass along full links we found visibility and recommend you label them with voting information. I don't know why I fucking highlighted everything on this page.
Re-recommend.
Yeah,
That's all
let me
you
just go to the next page
re-recommend.
where I didn't highlight everything. Label, reduce the discoverability, remove the link, recommend.
So how can they say we didn't
removal.
recommend anything when you recommended everything?
They didn't know they were going to show the receipts. They got a whole different story until you could prove it otherwise. Plead the fifth, plead
Just
the
think
fifth,
what
plead
they
the fifth.
deleted, they didn't get captured. Because they
Well,
said they
thankfully they're
deleted a
in
bunch of
order,
stuff,
right?
right?
So they get fucked because their system isn't numbering them. They're like, well, where are the ones in the
Yeah,
middle?
where is 609?
Well, 609 to 14, these are just instances where they recommended removing or deleting. So the ones in the middle probably don't. But I'm saying is overall, when they do submit their data, they should have 0 through or 1 through 900 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because they numbered it like this, it's easy to go, we're missing. What?
I want to see all the missing ones myself.
Oh, go for it. I'm sure they're somewhere, but they're just as innocuous as all this bullshit. It's just the government telling us what to do. Removal. We recommend that this tweet and the tweets sharing this false information should be removed. We recommend taking action specifically on this account, such as suspending their ability to continue tweeting for 12 hours.
Even giving them a fucking punishment. Even deciding the punishment.
Yes. So when your accounts are like, oh, I can't fucking tweet.
I got 12 hours a lot.
It probably wasn't what you said. It was because your goddamn CIA agent flagged his homie over at buttfuck Egypt or wherever they're tweeting from.
That's
and got it done.
Why don't they just take the keys to fucking Twitter and run it?
We recommend Twitter remove. We recommend removal. We recommend actioning. We recommend because they undermine people's faith and legitimacy. All of this, we recommend getting rid of them. Users on Twitter and Facebook are sharing manipulated images of people moving boxes in trucks labeled emergency Democrat votes. We suggest labeling or removing tweets that use this photo as it could undermine people's faith in the legitimacy of the election.
Oh, now they have faith? Now all these fucking Democrats have faith?
Right? In 2016, the fucking 13 Russians could fuck us all. Now suddenly the whole 100 class of, or
all your lying eyes.
Well, 100 trained government people, they couldn't do anything, but those 13 Russians, those assholes. Right. Remove. We recommend removal. Recommend you limit spread of the attached tweets. Label or remove per policy. Label. Removing label. Twitter and Facebook, this story from alleged Nevada whistleblower claiming voting irregularities has not been verified or substantiated. It has received significant viral amplification. We recommend these links be labeled. Delete or label.
That means it's so true we can't even pretend to remove it, so just put a label on it.
We recommend it be removed. We recommend removing. We recommend they be flagged or removed. We recommend that they be removed.
That's
your tax dollars hard at work. That's it. That's the last page.
That's crazy. That's China just taking control of the American government, going, don't like it, don't like it, don't like it. Like, that's nuts. Someone should
Mhm.
swing for sure.
Agreed. But guess what's happening? There is good news, kind of not related, but also sort of related, is that a judge has ordered the FBI turn over Seth Rich's laptop. It will be turned over in less than 14 days. I think on the, when is it? I think next Thursday, we'll get to see inside Seth Rich's government issued laptop. His regular laptop supposedly was, do you know who this is?
Yeah, didn't he get Clinton?
Yes, he got Clinton. He was the DC, the leaker for Clinton's emails,
Yes.
and he got robbed in DC and got murdered. But they didn't take any of his shit. It was a botched robbery where they shot him twice in the back and forgot to take his money,
Yeah,
his
all his money,
laptop,
his
and all
nice
his
watch.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a problem.
At least
Anyways,
he didn't
we're gonna get to see inside his
suicide with
laptop.
his hands tied behind the back to a tree and not find a gun.
I wonder what the comments say. Republicans love conspiracy theories. It's harming our nation. Get another rope. We need an Ed. You bastard.
Oh, that's speaking of conspiracy theories. So Canadian media today, I was scrolling through X, and all these independent media, so like Global News, CTV News, somebody else, all put out the same basic article talking about, do we need to monitor conspiracy theories, blah blah blah. But they all brought it up at the exact same day within the same hour. All independent news. You guys aren't even fucking trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah, what makes it like? What makes being a if you could okay, if you could
Conspiracy theories
prove
are called
like
spoiler alerts now.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, are they just a theory until there's a receipt? Like, how do
No,
you?
then what if your conspiracy comes true, then you're just a right-wing Trump mega person. Even Trudeau in Canada now is trying to call all the people on the right mega Canadians, which makes no sense.
You wish
He's just, well, I got my Make Canada Great Again hat on.
you do. I'm buying
Yeah,
everything
you
from
ever seen that?
China so that they don't fucking spy on me. Well, that's dope. How did we both end up wearing our MAGA hats? I guess I probably
Well, I
accident.
see, I
You
snuck
started
out
with
on
it.
you. When you
Yeah.
started, I just tiptoed out and got it.
Son of a bitch. That's Doogie Howser, MD, the guy who hung himself and shot himself with a shotgun while hanging, and then they couldn't find the shotgun. Yeah,
Yeah, we covered that one day.
yeah, we talked about that.
Or
That was
turbulence. There
impressive.
were some turbulence murders
The
where
turbulence
no one
murder
else
was
in the
another
plane
good
was
one.
injured.
That was I actually, because of that one, I learned what, oh, I forgot what it's called, like clipping, but I don't think it's that, like where they have to do something to the plane to keep it flying straight. Oh, that was a rabbit hole. And their system, so supposedly they have this thing, God, I wish I could remember what it's called, on planes, that as you are going, it keeps your plane flat, like it continually adjusts so that you're
Yes.
flying straight. Supposedly it was doing its thing, keeping the plane straight, and then it turned off. So when it turned off, the plane did the thing, the lady shoots up to the ceiling, fucking dies, 3 other people on the plane, they died. That was a lawyer for Clinton. Then
Yeah,
she
yeah.
died this year. Yeah, that was like April or May or something.
Magic. It's magic. Like, who would take a job with the Clinton now?
Turbulence.
I don't understand why
Turbulence.
anybody would want to be in the Clinton camp, work around it. Like, I wouldn't want to fucking bring her a DoorDash. Like, if you fuck that up.
But do you think, like you were saying to start this, like anybody who works for them, they really believe it? They
do.
bought the narrative. Like, she wasn't defending an evil person. She was defending the truth, right?
Right.
These lawyers. And then they get Clinton probably because they start getting red pilled or woken up in some way.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
I think it's both. I think there's like both sides. The Republicans have their fucking crazy people too. They just don't get Clintoned off as much.
We're not going to go here, but if we did have time, I would show you that this man, Claude Montgomery, he had to sue this guy called Comey. You guys know James Comey.
I did a video on James and Clinton there a few years ago.
Well, Montgomery is the one who created that Hammer, Hammer and Scorecard.
Yes.
Montgomery created Hammer. to help
Oh.
I think honestly for like good purposes, right? And then when he realized what they were using it for during Obama, he came out and was like, this is fucked and they're manipulating y'all and they're
Right.
using this computer system to like bulldoze through information in a way. I don't exactly know if I'm saying that right.
They sell it in the guise to we're going to get terrorists, and then they use it on the American people. Like, well, they're
Yeah,
the same
well,
thing.
they discredited the shit out of him. He's a liar. He doesn't even fucking exist, basically. And then eventually the FBI was like, listen, if you'll shut the fuck up and give us those 47 hard drives, we'll investigate this. He's like, hell yeah, as long as you'll investigate it. So he gives all his shit to Comey. And then 3 years later, he's like, where's the fucking investigation? Comey's like, fired. Don't even care what you're saying right now because
Right.
fuck you. And now Montgomery's like, they just stole my information. They refuse to give it back. They're not doing anything. They're covering their asses based on. And one of the main
You
things
didn't
that
make a copy
Krebs from
before
the
you gave it to 'em.
DHS was worried about was the Hammer scorecard narrative from the election, which is not fake. It's actually true. We saw it in the Vault 7 WikiLeaks dump, and we see it here. The same dude, Montgomery, the man who comes out with it, who says he's the creator of it, who gave the government 47 hard drives with over 600 million documents. 600 mil. That's a lot. They just, thanks. See ya.
There was water damage, Div. You don't understand. The FBI doesn't
It's
have
so
much money for their
frustrating.
facilities.
It's
They had
mad.
Hunter Biden's laptop for a year.
December of 19, yeah, before. Well, they wouldn't have told us about it except for the Washington Post did.
Yeah, that's when they overreached the censorship. When you shut down another
Mhm.
news, like if they never would have did that, they probably could have kept skating under the radar for a long
Because
time.
even though the rest of them would have wanted that, they know what the implication for them is. If
Right.
they can do it to them, they will eventually do it. Not that they
They
can or they
will.
might, but they will. Yes,
Will. It's
absolutely
not
they
yeah.
will.
Who is
Hammer and
who?
scorecard is gay communist symbol. Go back to Hammer and sickle.
No, it's Hammer and Sickle. Yeah.
No, it's Hammer and scorecard.
Yeah, if you want to see the video I did on James Comey and Hillary Clinton, it's 4 or 5 years old now, but she was guilty as fuck.
She stays guilty. I was actually, you know what we should look at? Let's go here. Not here, but really quick. Clinton collapsed after 9/11. Here it is.
Yeah, they had to drag her onto the bus. She's
How
got
do
a
I get
full
rid of
body
this
back
little
brace, I think, that keeps her upright. Otherwise, she'd have that fucking hunched over Grinch fucking look.
They're all CNN.
Yeah, she completely collapsed there. They drug her limp. And they think she has a body double. That was their fat body double.
It
with the
was, you know where
sunglasses.
she went? She went to from here, she goes to Chelsea's apartment in New York and comes out like 30 minutes later, all just smiling with the babies, patting kids on the head and shit.
She hit that nose candy and was ready to roll.
Supposedly, Chelsea's apartment is an old medical facility too. So it's just a cover for her to go get her fucking clone
Yeah,
revamped
exactly.
or whatever.
I
All
think
right,
you're going to
let's
see
watch
a
this.
Chelsea try and run here soon. Maybe like 2030s.
This is, I'm pretty sure it was during a 9/11.
Yeah, this was censored.
Hillary Clinton.
This video was
yeah.
censored from Twitter for a while.
Really? I'm not
Yeah,
surprised.
she completely
Probably
collapsed.
because it was right before the election. They wanted her in.
Yeah, because she was
But
supposed
so
to be
she's
fit and healthy and capable, and she wasn't. She could barely
right.
walk. She was missing debates. She was only showing up for like 10-minute like town meetings. Like she was bad.
First one, she said not drinking enough of that baby blood. She didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Says she felt overheated and she went to her daughter's apartment to
Whoa.
get her bearings. Let's watch this
Almost like I've
video
heard
for a
this
second.
story. There she goes.
Oh,
Milwaukee
what?
bitch can't even stand up.
But
You
it's
see
so
her
common that
apparently
no one gets upset, no one
almost
panics,
falling, but
no one
captured,
calls an
caught
ambulance.
by
It's so common.
people, presumably Secret Service agents around her. A little while ago, we
Because
saw
they know
Hillary Clinton
watchers
leave her
slink off of
daughter's
this.
apartment building and wave to reporters
She's going
and
back to her
onlookers,
lizard
looking
form.
much better than she does in the video we're showing you right now. She didn't have much to
Okay,
say
here we go.
just now, but you can listen
My legs
to
aren't working.
how she responded to
Drag
a
me off.
reporter's shouted question.
They dragged her off.
Yeah. No one
How are you
calls an
feeling,
ambulance.
Secretary Clinton?
That's the body double.
Are you feeling better?
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, right before this, she patted a kid
CNN
on the head.
national
I promise
politics
I wasn't
reporter
lying.
MJ Lee.
Who cares about the rest? I just want to see Hillary Clinton buckle.
Did you see the one where she does
Who
the
else?
chai tea and she starts glitching out?
I have seen that one. So just like when Biden does his dumb shit, sometimes I'm like, meh.
That was pretty
Sometimes
weird
they
though.
do look stupid and it feels weird, but it does make
He was
sense.
trying to be funny, but it was a little fucked
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just
did I
stoked
show
for Seth
you?
Rich's laptop because I'm a right-wing conspiracy theory that wants to fucking ruin his parents' life or whatever.
Oh no, mute.
I'm muted?
I found a video of North Korea propaganda video showing America and how you guys live.
Wait, really? Is it on YouTube? Is it on private chat here? No.
Hang on, I gotta find it. I saved it just for you though, because this is how they're trying to tell North Koreans like this is America, this is what it's like. And there was one point I fucking cracked up.
Is it this?
No, hang on.
How
Yes, that's it.
It is it?
Yes, it.
What a recca. This is the first link that popped up. I want everybody to know that Nova is he clicks on the first link too.
This is better than San Francisco right now though.
dramatic music. This is how Americans live today, drinking coffee made from snow and living in tents and buying guns to kill each other, especially children. Some people complain about the guns.
I can't even give me some fucking quality here. But they told them that we don't have high quality video also? Damn it.
This is HD.
I would
in
never
North Korea. Remember, this is a North
I don't
Korean
want to go
video.
to pixelated ass America. It sucks. I can't even see who gives a shit
Keep
what
going
this
a minute.
Living on the streets of modern-day America.
is. Is this a font? Do you think that this is like italics?
No,
or
that's North
bold?
Korean. That's North Korean.
It looks sharper than usual. I
South
feel like
Korean
they're
leans left,
serious.
North Korean leans right.
Wait, what?
I'm just making it
Oh,
up.
they're letters. Never mind.
These trees are full of snow. You'll see that there are no birds. They've been eaten by the people who live in these tents and corridors. This man awaits
No
heroin.
birds. Birds aren't real. You guys ate them all.
Their houses blow down very easily, and they have to live in tents like these.
That's pretty good, Dan.
This man will show us his tent with pride. He points to his items, but the camera notices his roof has fallen down. This is common in modern-day America. The American Red Cross supplies curtains and walls from material from North Korea.
Yeah, North Korea is housing you motherfuckers right now.
I want some of that snow coffee,
I
though.
cried. Oh, it was so funny.
They don't even have dirty fingers in America. They got all their jackets in America. They should have put people with no jackets. No cars and shit.
Do you know if you look at North Korea on like satellite image, there's no light there at nighttime. The whole world's
Yeah,
almost
it's
lit
sad.
up.
Well,
but
there's a
North
little
Korea's
light. There's the light where the Winnie sleeps.
That's pretty fucked
This
up
is-
though. And they have 4-lane highways, but they have no cars.
Don't they like play for Western world when like for each other for their own sake? They're like, look at us, clean streets, great.
I think North Koreans are brought up to believe that they're the greatest country in the world and everything outside the North
Yeah.
Korean border is like this. It's like hell.
Mhm.
They're blessed to live in North Korea. Park, what's that Park girl's name? She escaped
Naomi
North
Park,
Korea.
yeah. She
Yeah.
said in North Korea they don't have the word for stress. It doesn't exist. If you can't say it, it doesn't exist. You just
Right.
made it
Or
up. I'm like, wait,
love.
I'm stressed
I don't
out.
think they had love or possess. There's some other things they didn't have words for,
Yeah.
like ownership or something. I can't remember what else it was, but it was fucked up.
If you guys aren't familiar with Naomi Park, she
It's amazing.
has a really good story. It's kind of like if you're introduced to her today with her new appearance, it's like, nah, whatever.
Yeah, she's
But if you were-
Americanized.
She definitely Americanized Chinese food at this
Good
point.
for her though. She should have a little Americanized in her life after living.
Whatever.
That.
I'm not saying that she's wrong or she shouldn't have like giant titties or whatever and be American and like be Western as fuck. I'm just saying when she first came out and she was very demure and very young and very sad and like very It was just very sad.
Yeah, she was still in shell shock.
I mean, the
As her
first
sister, I think
probably
she left
5
her family.
interviews, and then
I
she
think
did
her
Rogan, and she
family's
had
still
them
back
big old
there.
titties.
Because I
It
think
just
that's why she was so sad, because her leaving, they punish her, the rest of her family for her leaving.
her family, her neighbors, that's how they do for everyone. Anyone
Right.
who
Collective punishment.
yeah.
That way you all watch each other, so we report each other for your
Because
memes
most
and your
people
Twitter
don't
posts.
mind. Like, you'll leave and be like, fuck it, I'll brave the Gobi Desert. But you don't want your neighbors and their children and the people you've come to love and live with to also suffer because you wanted to make a
Right.
choice for yourself. That's how they are able to do what they do, I
That's how the
think.
Jehovah's Witnesses do it. If you leave the
Oh
fold, they
shit.
punish everyone. They shun you.
That's a lot. I didn't know the Jehovah's was that mean.
Oh yeah, look up some
They
I
kill your
Escaped the
neighbor.
Jehovah's Witness videos on YouTube. It's crazy.
Nah. Okay, we're done. We did 3.5 hours. That's an hour longer than I would have liked to do. Tomorrow we'll come back with, let's look, the subtle
What
art of not
chapter?
giving a fuck. I'm gonna open it up because I think we're on chapter
Chapter
5.
5? Yeah, I was
I
thinking
think
5 or 6.
so. Let me look. Yep,
5.
chapter 5. You are always choosing.
Yes.
Imagine that someone puts a gun to your head and tells you that you have to run 26.2 miles in under 5 seconds or she'll kill you and your entire family. Bye, family. Adios, muchachos. All right, so we're going to do that tomorrow. That'll be fun.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I'm sure we will touch on this again, this whole Constitution and our
Yeah, if
civil
it's before the
liberties.
appeals court, there's going to be a verdict eventually, or Supreme Court. There's going to be a ruling.
The appeals court already upheld, and we didn't really look at it, but
I thought,
they
oh,
already
I thought the appeals court was the high. So is there an appeals court to the
no, they're
Supreme
taken to
Court?
Supreme Court after that. It goes to whatever it is, and then it's appealed. If they didn't get along, then it goes to Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court will hear it, it goes that far. They have to decide to hear it, though.
And that's the dead end. That's it. Once the
The
Supreme
dead
Court
end is
rules.
Supreme, right? So the state's dead end is appeal, right? Once the appeals, it's like, okay, the appeals court is weighed in, but the next level, I guess, is
Okay,
Superior
gotcha.
or
Perfect.
Supreme. So that's what they're saying. This will, I guess they say it will go. I don't know if that means it. I don't know exactly how it works. Like, when do they choose the cases they're actually
Yeah,
going
because
to
Jesse was
see?
just heard the other day, and that was how long ago? That was almost a year, wasn't it?
That, I don't know. Something like that.
Yeah,
It did
so
seem like a
I
lot.
think they just take their sweet Jesus time with anything, so it'll probably be after
Sweet
the
Jesus
election.
time. The sweet Jesus time.
I bet you it's after the election.
So that's tomorrow's thumbnail right there. Dun, 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 dun.
See, perfect timing. It just started getting dark here.
Nice. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us, Chad. I hope you found this interesting. I hope this doesn't black pill you. Like, I think this is
You can
good.
no,
The
you take the
people,
black pill, absorb the black pill, and then you can slowly start white pilling yourself.
I mean, I'm fully white pilled. I find my rest in Jesus. I'm not a part of this world and I'm not from here, and this has nothing to do with me, but it is maddening because I fucking love America and I love liberty. I love liberty. I understand I guess what it took to get here, you know?
Right.
When I went to school, a few years ago, I had to do all these history classes and world history and all this shit, and it's like, I might not be able to repeat it all, but I appreciate what was done for us to get to where we are, where we can have our freedoms,
Yes, exactly.
and I'm not subscribed to this world, but I do live in it, and I do have children, and I don't know if the world could end tomorrow, and I'm okay with that, but if it's not, like, it could be 1,000 years from now, and I just don't want, I don't
Right.
know.
Think of your
I don't want
country's like your
America to die
child's a
on my
drug addict.
watch.
My country's a drug addict. I love it, but I gotta fix the fucking thing.
Something like that, yeah. Basically. Okay, I shut it down. Okay, thank you for hanging out, chat. It was good to see you, Mr. Hideous. Long time.
Yeah.
First one shot. Thanks for hanging out for the whole thing. Anybody else who's still here, I appreciate you. Follow, like, and share this. My new trick is just share this to yourself. Send yourself a message.
Oh
with this
yeah.
video
Work
in
the
it
algorithm.
Yes, exactly.
And
That's
if you tweet
nostalgia
it out, I'll
algorithm
retweet you
because
and give your algorithm a little rub.
oh yes, if you guys want Nova to touch your algorithms, You know what to do.
All right,
All right,
here.
dudes. We'll see you tomorrow morning. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Adios.
Peace.